Dong. In the classroom, a male student suddenly jolted awake. His movement was so abrupt that he cried out and tumbled to the floor the next second. The classroom burst into laughter. But the male student quickly stood up, looking around with caution and confusion. Bright classroom. Familiar yet unfamiliar classmates. A teacher who glanced at him, and then continued lecturing. This is a university classroom. What's going on? I didn't die. Su Xiao's mind was momentarily confused. He silently sat down, pulled out his phone, and saw the date August 6, 2022. Wasn't this 2 days before the apocalypse? After a moment, he gradually realized he had been reborn. This scene was exactly the university classroom from 2 years ago. Su Xiao, the Blood Emperor, after the apocalypse, a super powerhouse who once shook the world. After the outbreak, he survived like many refugees, dodging zombie chases, and awakened his ability 2 months later, becoming the famous Blood Ghost, and eventually one of the 4 emperors of humanity, the Blood Emperor. His ability was to manipulate blood. He could absorb fresh blood to replenish stamina and energy. At his peak, he could nurture blood seeds and reshape his body. Before the apocalypse, he was just an ordinary sophomore at Yunhai University. The classmates were indifferent and barely familiar. After glancing at Su Xiao, they went back to slacking off. After accepting the fact of his rebirth, an overwhelming excitement filled Su Xiao's mind. He felt this was a second chance from heaven to change humanity's doomed fate. In his past life, the greatest reason for humanity's downfall was that many ambitious people fought separately formed factions not to protect humans from zombies, but to live better themselves during the apocalypse. They didn't consider the preciousness of resources, the survival of the race, or the rapid evolution of zombies. They never saved their struggling compatriots, only indulged in greed, treating ordinary people as livestock and cannon fodder. Most of the remaining 20% of humanity perished because of these bastards. They forever buried humanity's last chance to resist the apocalypse. Compared to zombies, they were the true man-eating demons, beasts, deserving 1,000 cuts. A flicker of resentment flashed in Su Xiao's eyes. Gathering himself, he briefly thought about what to do before the apocalypse. With a plan in mind, he left the classroom right after the bell rang. First, he had to find a woman, the one who left a bright mark in his life. Without her, he wouldn't have endured until the last moment of the apocalypse. Taking a taxi, Su Xiao arrived outside Yunhai College, dozens of kilometers from his own Tianjin University. He got off squinting with a mix of nostalgia and novelty at the students coming and going. This was his first time here, but it was where she studied. Since school was out, and she probably rented a place, Su Xiao waited silently. 10 minutes later, a girl in a white shirt and jeans walked out carrying a backpack. The girl was very beautiful, high-nose bridge phoenix, eyes high ponytail. Even without makeup and in simple clothes, her beauty shone through. At 176 centimeters, she stood out among the girls. Her cold expression and temperament made her like a thorny rose. Many boys turned their heads as she passed. Such a pretty girl. Her figure and face are amazing. That's Tang Ying from the Institute of Technology, the dream girl of engineering students, the campus belle of our Yunhai University Forum. Hell, I'd say among the 5 campus beauties, Tang Ying is the most deserving. She's this pretty even people in luxury cars nearby leaned out to chat her up when she passed, but Tang Ying ignored them and walked. Su Xiao's gaze flickered with nostalgia as he watched the girl's still slightly immature face. Memories flooded back. Su Xiao, I can't go with you. Too many people depend on me. Su Xiao, you were right, but I had no choice. After I'm gone, you must live well. You are my best friend. A stubborn woman, a magnificent empress. Her looks might be her least remarkable trait. She once led 300 people to stand tall in the apocalypse. But within 48 hours of saying goodbye to Su Xiao, her base was overwhelmed by an endless zombie tide after the 3rd evolution wave. Tang Ying, your old friend, is here. Su Xiao stared at the girl, his thoughts surging. Silently, he followed her against the flow of people. Soon Tang Ying reached a rental house, dropped off her backpack, then came out again and rode a bicycle toward the distance. Su Xiao knew where she was going. He hailed a taxi and said calmly, "Driver, First People's Hospital." When Tang Ying was very young, her parents divorced. Her mother raised her. At this time, her mother should be in the hospital with severe emphysema, difficulty breathing, and serious anemia. In his past life, Tang Ying frantically borrowed money for her mother's treatment, but when the apocalypse came, money was useless. She was trapped in the hospital watching her mother die before her eyes when the power went out and the oxygen supply stopped. This became the eternal pain of Tang Ying. To win her over, Su Xiao had to start with her mother. Along the way, he kept busy on his phone. He was borrowing high-interest loans online, the kind that arrived quickly. Private lending platforms approved fast. In less than 20 minutes, an extra 300 yuan appeared on his phone. Before the apocalypse, borrowing so much high-interest debt would be deadly, but after the apocalypse, what use is money? In other words, who would come to collect? Might as well take advantage. Soon Su Xiao arrived at the hospital. He didn't rush in. He waited until Tang Ying entered, then leisurely followed her to a ward. Mom, hang in there. I've borrowed money, we can do surgery soon. Tang Ying held her mother's hand. The mother wore a respirator, her body pale and weak. I'm not going to make it. Don't waste that money, girl. You live well, Mom can't be with you much longer. Tang Ying knew her mother's illness was hard to cure. Even surgery would only extend her life a few days. Hope was slim. Clenching her teeth, she sobbed. Mom, don't say that. We must do the surgery. I won't let you die. After a long while, Tang Ying left the ward and started making phone calls. Auntie, it's Ying Ying. My mom is sick, can you lend me some money? Oh, it's okay, thank you, Auntie. Uncle, I'm Ying Ying. Beep, beep, beep. One call after another, but most distant relatives refused. The one who agreed only offered at most 2,000 yuan. For years, no one had cared about her mother, the married-out daughter. Tang Ying felt helpless, put down her phone, and sat dejectedly on the hospital bench. Xiao, leaning back in a chair, had just finished a game of King of Glory. He put down his phone, glanced at her, and smiled. Surgery costs at least several 100,000, right? Your relatives are pretty cold. I doubt you can get the money anytime soon. Tang Ying instantly became wary and stared at him. Who are you? None of your business. This meddling remark made her already troubled mind panic, even disgusted by the person. They'll lend you 3,000 yuan, enough for the surgery. Consider it making a friend. Xiao opened his WeChat balance and showed it with a smile. 3,000 might not cure her mother, but it's enough to win her trust. You? Why are you helping me? Tang Ying stared blankly at this lazy boy around her age. If you feel uneasy, treat it as a transaction. Maybe you'll need your help someday. Xiao said with a smile, leaving Tang Ying confused. But compared to selling herself, she'd rather owe Xiao a favor. Clenching her teeth, Tang Ying said gratefully, Thank you, I will pay you back. My name is Tang Ying. I'm Xiao? No rush. Take care of your mother first. Feel free to contact me anytime. Xiao transferred the money to her and left gracefully. Tang Ying was a grateful person. With the money, her bond with him was solidified. The Empress. This life you're going to follow me. Besides Tang Ying, a future major ally, there were several others who could assist Xiao after the apocalypse. However, some were not suitable to contact now and would have to wait until after the world ended. Before that, Xiao needed to start gathering supplies. After the apocalypse, acquiring food and resources would not be so easy. He had given all his loan money to Tang Ying, so now he had to replenish his funds. Xiao was not panicked. After a moment of thought, he opened a map on his phone, found a location, and hailed a taxi again. The destination, the underground parking lot of the International Trade Building. A middle-aged man in a suit, leisurely and dignified, strolled with his hands behind his back toward a silver Bentley Mulsanne. Suddenly, from the other side of the car, a teasing voice sounded, Mr. Su, what a fine mood you're in. Looks like you've made quite a fortune recently. Su Guofeng's eyes widened as he stared at the figure leaning against his car. Who are you? What are you doing leaning on my car? He barked. Xiao smiled mildly. Just a nobody, not worthy of your concern, Mr. Su. I only want to do business with you. I won't ask for much. Just half of the money you took from your two deceased partners. Su Guofeng's pupils suddenly dilated, staring hard at Xiao. What nonsense are you spouting? I'm calling the police right now. He shouted. Huh. Go ahead and call. 2 lives lost. You're afraid all this would vanish and you'd be eating a special peanut. Xiao laughed loudly. This man Su Guofeng was a big boss. In his previous life, he had been taught a harsh lesson by Xiao, who thus learned many of his dark secrets from the past. After the apocalypse, such things would be irrelevant, just a joke. But now, before the end, murder demanded a lot. Xiao, after the apocalypse, knew too many people's secrets. He chose this man simply because he was the closest. With this leverage, Xiao naturally wouldn't let it go, just in time to get some money. Revenge. After the apocalypse, once his psychic ability awakened the blood demon, Xiao would fear no backstabber like him. Su Guofeng's face turned pale instantly. Years ago, he had 2 partners in a business deal. The profits exceeded expectations and disagreements arose. Su Guofeng, the greediest, knew some street-level killers, 10,000 per head, with guaranteed impunity. So he acted decisively. Both partners were murdered and their bodies abandoned in the wilderness. Even though some minor troubles arose later, his money power smoothed everything over. How did this little bastard know? Su Guofeng snarled coldly, I don't know what you're talking about. Get lost. Xiao said calmly, there was a witness who could have caused you trouble. You paid him off and sent him to England. But then, fearing consequences, you buried the 2 bodies. Su Guofeng finally broke, gritting his teeth and growling, what do you want? Xiao revealed a faint smile. Smart man. I only want 10 million. A trifle for you. Also get me a replica gun. I know you have one. If you can fulfill these small requests by tomorrow, we'll never meet again. Deal. Su Guofeng stared at Xiao in shock, a chill running down his spine. This guy knew everything, even about the guns he had secretly made. For a moment, a murderous glint flashed in his eyes. He wanted to kill this bastard, but feared he was not alone. Killing him would instantly leak the secret. He could only glare coldly at Su Xiao for a long time, seeing the man unyielding. Fine. But if you ever threaten me with this again, I'll make you pay. Deal. Su Xiao gave a mock salute, left a note, and strolled away leisurely. Returning to Donghai University, Su Xiao went to the Humanities and Arts department. After casually inquiring about some names he remembered, he obtained the information he needed and left without a trace. In this department, there was a pair of sisters who would become extremely formidable after the apocalypse. The elder sister possessed a darkness-type ability while the younger had a light-type ability, both rare and powerful attributes among abilities. The elder sister's ability was summoning both offensive and defensive. She could summon dark creatures to fight. The younger focused on healing and later mastered a legendary skill known throughout the apocalypse, light baptism. It could heal injuries on a large scale and grant buffs. She was hailed as one of the best support ability users of the end times. The two sisters had reached the king level in strength and once escaped unscathed from a siege by 5 king level enemies. They were known as the Queens of Light and Dark, and even when they eventually died, they fell together. Since they were close by, Su Xiao certainly couldn't let such talent slip away. In the early stages, the two girls might be weak, but later they would be a huge boon to him. It was too early to approach them now. First, he didn't know them well. Second, the timing wasn't right. In their previous life, the sisters had suffered terribly in a zombie-filled school and lost faith in others. Su Xiao planned to appear at the critical moment to win their loyalty. Time passed imperceptibly to 5 in the evening. Su Xiao used his last few hundred yuan to buy some food and returned to his rented room. He didn't live on campus, but alone in a rented apartment. Fortunately, he lived off campus. In his previous life, the school after the apocalypse was no different from almost half became zombies. The rest, under the closed-off conditions, were either found and devoured or trapped and starved to death. Less than 1% escaped. Just then the bank loan arrived, 200,000 yuan unsecured. Su Xiao had no parents, no assets, and had worked his way through college. This was the maximum he could borrow. One gun alone was not enough. He needed a variety of weapons to safely get through the initial phase. After browsing online, Su Xiao bought a finely crafted Longquan Tang for 22,000 yuan. Its blade was wide at the back and narrow at the edge, sharp, tough, and more durable than Japanese swords. When chopping zombies, sharpness alone wasn't enough. A soft blade would chip easily. With this sword, one swing could split bone. Next, Su Xiao spent over 2,000 on 2 multifunctional explosion-proof suits, including tactical vests, chest guards, elbow pads, leg guards, tactical gloves, and helmets. They could resist sharp weapon thrusts and absorb impact up to about 300 Jin, enough to handle ordinary zombies. He also bought a compound crossbow, a multi-purpose military toolbox, binoculars, and other basic equipment. Soon he had spent over 100,000, all shipped via SF Express. With that, Su Xiao stopped his preparations. The money hadn't fully arrived, yet he couldn't prepare everything until tomorrow. The next day arrived. Su Xiao didn't bother going to class. He opened his phone and saw a notification: 10 million had been transferred. Although this illegal income might attract monitoring, he didn't care at all. Soon no one would care about such things. Heading out to Nanshan Park near his residence, Su Xiao reached under a bench as expected and pulled down a parcel taped underneath. A playful smile crossed his face. Su Guofeng had kept his word. For rich people, anything that could be solved with money was no big deal. He took the item and leisurely returned to his rented room. Unwrapping the parcel, a silver imitation pistol with engraved patterns exquisitely decorated with gold inlays gleamed under the light. Su Guofeng was indeed a big boss. In the previous life, if he hadn't been captured before awakening his ability, his hundreds of followers would have made him a tough nut to crack. With money in hand, Su Xiao finally began stockpiling supplies. He found the phone numbers of some food factories and called them one by one, starting a day of busy arrangements. In the apocalypse, resources were everything. Whoever controlled resources could buy loyalty, just like the landlords and tenant farmers of old. Before he had the strength to plunder others, Su Xiao had to lay out his resource network. When the apocalypse came, this would attract more strong survivors to join his banner. On the outskirts of the city, Su Xiao spent a large sum to lease a grain and oil warehouse. The owner, on the verge of bankruptcy, sold the remaining 5 tons of flour along with the warehouse to Su Xiao, costing him 3 million in one fell swoop. Yet Su Xiao felt no regret. His rented room could not store much food, so he had to find another place to serve as a backup resource depot for the post-apocalyptic world. With grain and oil temporarily sufficient, Su Xiao used nearly all of the remaining 7 million to purchase non-perishable food items, 1 ton of various canned goods, and 3 tons of purified water, all in large barrels. 2 tons of meat and fresh produce filled the only small cold storage to the brim. Another 4 million disappeared from Su Xiao's funds. To prevent a power outage in the cold storage, he even prepared 3 generators and a large amount of gasoline and diesel. For various daily necessities, pressed for time and unwilling to select carefully, Su Xiao directly contacted 2 small supermarkets and cleared out their entire stock. He worked tirelessly until nightfall. Trucks kept arriving at the warehouse, and everything was not finished until 7 in the evening. Time passed so swiftly. Alone Su Xiao surveyed the warehouse, now more than half, full, his heart leaping with joy. With these resources he could ensure that for a considerable period he would not have to worry about food. He locked the sturdy metal door, pocketed the key, and wearily returned to his rented room. At this point Su Xiao had only a little over 1 million left. Still, Su Xiao pondered possible oversights. Survival is secured, but for communication, before any sensory transmission type ability users appear, I must have radio equipment. And entertainment. To attract people to a base meeting, survival needs alone is not enough. Once idle people breed chaos, there must be forms of entertainment. Fortunately, I have generators, so I should prepare some electronic devices. Finally, means of travel. Ordinary vehicles are unreliable and not sturdy enough. Lost in thought, Su Xiao placed more orders: 100 wireless communicators, 5 radios, 1 communication radio station, 10 drones, 20 computers, 10 mobile phones, and with the last 400,000, a Wrangler off-road vehicle. This would provide him with a convenient means of transportation when disaster struck. With that, Su Xiao's mind eased a little. All preparations that could be made were complete. If nothing unexpected happened, tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon would be the moment the apocalypse began. He still had a whole morning for final arrangements. It was also time to make his presence known before the major powers. After all, relying solely on ability users was not enough for true development. Ability users only became completely impervious to guns and cannons around the 3rd rank, but that would take at least half a year. Ample thermal weapons were what Su Xiao desired most, and such weapons were unavailable even at the local police station, only obtainable from the military. He certainly could not get them now, but there was an opportunity to fulfill this wish later. Su Xiao thought of something, rubbed his chin, and revealed a shrewd gleam in his eyes. At 7 in the morning on August 8, 2022, 8 hours before the apocalypse, Su Xiao walked to the balcony and looked at the sky. The golden morning glow radiated the beauty and vitality of a new day, accompanied by a crisp coolness that made the mind feel refreshingly clear. What a beautiful day, yet it was the last of its beauty. Su Xiao took a deep breath, his gaze cold and calm. He went downstairs to the street for breakfast. 2 baskets of meat buns, 2 fried dough sticks, and a bowl of spicy soup filled his body with energy. Then he headed directly to the 4S dealership where he had ordered the car to pick it up. He had bought a used car because it could be driven away immediately without waiting for license plates or registration. The first thing he did after driving was to contact the seller to have the items he had ordered last night delivered here. The express delivery was very fast. Within less than an hour the radio equipment and everything else arrived, and Su Xiao stacked them in an empty room. After finishing, it was already past 9. Su Xiao locked the door and drove off again. He needed to go to the mall to find someone. A crucial arrangement that would determine whether Su Xiao could rise quickly after the apocalypse. Soon he arrived at the Qindao Mall in Yanhai City. It happened to be the weekend, and the place was bustling with people. Su Xiao observed silently. He was not even sure if the person he was looking for was here. He was merely trying his... Although he was well versed in the many powerful figures and stories that emerged on this land after the apocalypse, he could not confirm their truth. But when something offers great benefit, even a 1 in 10 chance is worth a try. Like a human computer, Su Xiao leaned against a pillar on the south side of the mall. His eyes, like scanners, silently observed every passerby, checking the time from time to time. If he had not encountered the person he wanted by noon, he would leave decisively, reserving 2 hours for the return trip. In fact, 1 hour was enough to get back to the rented room. The extra hour was his risk buffer time. Never cut it. Since he could not predict accidents such as traffic jams or other situations, 1 hour allowed him to abandon the car and walk back. After waiting patiently for over an hour, the time reached 1108. 2 figures finally appeared in Su Xiao's field of vision. He stared intently at the pair of pretty girls, or more precisely at one of them. A fashionable woman wearing a light blue spliced dress and carrying a branded bag. Her name was Zhou Yue, and her real identity was the daughter of Zhou Sun, the commander of the station troops in Yunhai. In the previous life, because of his formidable strength, Su Xiao had been invited to join the Yunhai military region after the apocalypse, where he saw her photograph in Zhou Sun's office and learned about her past. After the apocalypse, the military was undoubtedly the most powerful force. As cities fell, the major military regions were cut off from each other, forming local fiefs in the post-apocalyptic world. Though they still followed the orders of the headquarters in the divine capital, their autonomy was greatly enhanced. In the previous life, after the apocalypse broke out, station troops had still come searching for Zhou, was showing how much Zhou Sun cherished his daughter. Unfortunately, when she was found, she had already been raped and died there. As a result, many of the hostages rescued from the mall who had been in contact with Zhou Yu were secretly executed. What Su Xiao valued was her identity. If he could keep Zhou Yu under his control after the apocalypse, then in the future, he would have a chance to obtain the weapons and equipment he needed from the Yunhai garrison. Seeing that the woman was indeed here, apparently chatting cheerfully with a female companion, as if they were about to have lunch, Xiao did not linger. He could not approach Xiao now. Without experiencing the frost, how could he offer charcoal in the snow? Watching her disappearing figure, Xiao turned and left. A little past 12, Xiao returned to the rented room and ordered an exceptionally lavish takeout lunch. Then he sent Tang Ying a message to check on her situation, learning that her mother had undergone surgery the previous night and she was now at the hospital with her. Xiao thought for a moment and advised her to go out and buy more food and nutritious products to supplement her mother. Tang Ying found this reasonable and thanked him. Little did she know Xiao was only afraid that after the apocalypse she would starve to death before he could find her. After all, once the apocalypse broke out, a 3-day period of destruction would ensue. Not easy to survive. But Xiao would never reveal a single clue about the impending apocalypse, not even to Tang Ying. After all, they were not even ordinary friends yet, and that woman was quite sharp. Finally, the time on his phone jumped to exactly 3 o'clock. Xiao's heart gave a violent thump, but nothing. Xiao walked to the barred anti-theft window and looked out through the glass. No, it had already begun. The sky outside had slowly transformed into a dark red hue. Thick, heavy clouds like massive bloodstains blanketed the heavens, casting the entire world under a blood-red glow. Seconds later, a pitter-patter sounded outside, and within half a minute turned into a torrential downpour. The hissing rain drowned out all other noise, accompanied by low rumbles of thunder. Xiao saw red droplets slowly sliding down the window pane, staining the leaves outside like blood, eerie and bewitching. A torrential downpour of blood-red rain blanketed the world, as though the celestial river had inverted, threatening to drown all existence. By the window, even the buildings across the street were barely visible. Simultaneously, the lights in the room flickered and died, the power supply severed, as if abruptly pinched off. A faint ripple stirred within Xiao. Everything was unfolding exactly as it had in his past life. All who were touched by this rain turned into zombies without exception. Silently, he opened the generator he had prepared and poured in diesel fuel. Minutes later, power was restored to his room. Xiao did nothing else. He simply sat like an ancient monk, gazing blankly at the curtain of rain. That night, Xiao heard chaotic noises from outside. The guttural roars of beasts mingled with human cries, yet all were muddled by the relentless patter of rain. In the middle of the night, spine-chilling screams and women's shrieks echoed through the corridor. Xiao ignored them, merely sitting quietly on the bed with his eyes closed. In his current state, he lacked the strength to meddle. When you have no power, it is best to remain silent. The next day, someone pounded violently on Xiao's door. Peering through the peephole, his pupils constricted. A man in an advanced state of decay stood outside, staring vacantly ahead, with milky white eyes, his withered blackened hand slapping relentlessly against the door. Xiao's gaze was cold and unruffled. A familiar sensation rose within him. This was the feeling of the apocalypse. But the rain had not ceased, so he still did not step outside. After a few minutes, the pounding stopped. 3 days passed in a flash, and finally the rain ceased. Xiao looked at the clearing sky, then at the large tree outside. The tree remained lush green, but blood-red droplets clung to every leaf, creating an eerily uncanny sight. Xiao knew it was time for him to act. He donned the explosion-proof suit, tactical arm guards, and other gear he had prepared long ago. On his back was a large backpack filled with ample food and water. At his waist, he fastened a sharp, 3-edged dagger and an axe. In his right hand, he took up the exquisite razor-sharp Longquan forging knife. After putting on a helmet, Xiao glanced through the peephole at the silent corridor outside, then decisively opened the door that had been sealed for 3 days. First, a pungent stench assaulted his nostrils. The reeking odor of decaying flesh so intense that any ordinary person would likely be gagged and forced to vomit instantly. Yet Xiao merely furrowed his brow before regaining composure. He was long accustomed to this smell. It was only that his current physical senses were not fully adapted. He surveyed the other directions of the building. 2 doors across the hall. One already open, the other still tightly shut. The stairwell was splattered with blood and littered with debris. Xiao sighed softly, knowing that the occupants of this building had likely met a grim fate. In the early stage of the apocalypse, zombies were scarce. Staying indoors meant safety. But evidently some households had run out of food and ventured out only to encounter those who had been rained on and turned. He descended cautiously, knife in hand. Upon reaching the second-floor landing, he spotted a woman in tattered clothes standing there, her body completely rotten. Xiao recognized her as a woman who had lived on the floor above him. Suddenly, the woman twisted her head, revealing a putrefied face covered in tiny blood-colored pustules. The flesh on her left cheek was gone, exposing dark, blackened muscle. A horrifying sight. Her milky white eyes seemed to sense him, fixing a ghastly stare. Letting out a bone-chilling roar, she staggered towards Xiao. Expressionless, Xiao even lunged forward himself, swinging his long blade and slashing it fiercely into the woman's head. Swish! The Longquan blade met momentary resistance, then a head flew off crashing against the corridor corner 2 meters away before rolling down the stairs with a dull thud. The woman's blackened, withered claws waved feebly for a moment, then she crumpled to the ground. Killing an ordinary zombie stirred no emotion in Xiao. It was entirely within his expectation. During the first week of the apocalypse, zombies were by far the easiest to kill. Their bodies decayed under the rain's erosion, mere walking corpses with residual functions, their strength and speed far below a normal human's. As long as one was careful not to be wounded by them, they were easy prey. Xiao had seen no living person confronting zombies. Most were frightened out of their wits, afraid to leave their homes. City dwellers of this era, though seeming resilient, had largely lost their mettle. Unless facing certain death, they would rather bury their heads in a hole like rats. He was in no rush to find Tang Ying. She was trapped in the hospital, but if she was clever enough, she could survive for a while. His current objective was to seize the opportunity and grow stronger as fast as possible. With his frail body, he had no hope of crossing the zombies outside to reach the hospital. Even if he found those potential team members he had marked, how could he win them over in his current state? He must first awaken his own ability. After the apocalypse, a mysterious virus turned humans into zombies, but within the zombies, energy crystals would form. Survivors of the previous era had collectively called them evolution crystals. Evolution crystals were not harmful to humans. On the contrary, they improved cellular structure, adjusted genetic sequences, and brought about incredible transformations. The most direct change was the acquisition of abilities. After consuming large quantities of these crystals, humans would develop all sorts of bizarre powers. Some would gain immense physical strength, transforming from ordinary people into superhuman strongmen or Batmen. Others could summon fire, lightning, and become Supermen. But this required a long process, and the prerequisite for these conditions was survival. Second, one had to absorb enough crystals. The number varied from person to person. Xiao vaguely recalled that in his previous life, he had awakened after absorbing 8 crystals. It should be the same this time. He hurried downstairs. Passing the severed head, he cleaved it open and used his sword to stir the flowing brains. No crystal inside. Xiao continued down. When he reached the second floor, an even stronger stench assaulted him, accompanied by low rasping sounds. It sounded like a patient struggling to breathe with phlegm stuck in the windpipe, or the wheeze of a decrepit bellows. For zombies lingered near the doors on the second floor. At their feet lay 3 skeletons still clinging to scraps of flesh. The ground was half-dyed crimson with blood, and dark dried rivulets had flowed down the steps. For zombies, this could be troublesome. Xiao's brows knitted tightly. Although early-stage zombies moved as slowly as an octogenarian, even a good fighter could be overwhelmed by a pack. If all 4 lunged at once, his current thin frame might not guarantee he could avoid injury. And being scratched by a zombie had only one outcome, becoming one of them. But Xiao hesitated for only a moment before fixing them with a cold stare. I am the Blood Emperor, fully armed. If I can't handle a few basic zombies, I might as well forget all my plans. He deliberately stomped his foot. Instantly, the slow-reacting zombies were attracted and came shambling and clawing towards Xiao upstairs. Xiao gripped his blade with both hands, his body and mind instantly becoming as still as a sculpture, like a hawk poised to strike, staring intently at its prey. When the leading zombie was still 3 meters away, he suddenly swung at its outstretched arms. With a dull thud, both arms dropped. Xiao kicked the armless zombie hard, sending it and the 3 behind it tumbling backward, crashing against the corridor wall. Then Xiao bounded down the steps in 2 or 3 leaps, his blade precisely slashing at the necks and heads of the remaining zombies. Thwack, thwack, thwack. 3 consecutive strikes. Blood spattered, but Xiao, having anticipated it, stepped back just in time, leaving only a few blood spots on his pants. Xiao looked regretfully at the bloodstains on his trousers. His mind was quick enough, but his body could not keep up. Clearly he still needed more training. He split open the heads of the zombies, and finally from one of them fished out a tiny fingernail-sized, blood-red, diamond-like object. A smile spread across Xiao's face. Finally got a crystal. This blood-red, diamond-like trinket was the crystal core produced inside zombies. It meant that these zombies were also growing stronger. This was only the beginning. Very few zombies had produced such crystals, but as time passed, more and more would develop them. But time was of the essence. Xiao did not know how many people had turned into zombies, but he knew the city was definitely in chaos. The transformation was not instantaneous. Those infected with the virus went about their day normally before returning to crowds, and after zombification, they lunged greedily at others in the same confined space. Xiao wiped the crystal clean with a rag from the floor, pocketed it, and continued downstairs. On the first floor, 3 zombies were killed by a panting Xiao. But when he looked up and saw more than a dozen zombies outside the compound sprinting toward him, he immediately returned home and locked the door. The door rattled incessantly under their pounding. Su Xiao, his body weary from killing several zombies, sat calmly on the sofa, staring at the crystal in his hand. Such a tiny crystal core left Su Xiao speechless. In his past life, even the first one he dug out was as big as his thumbnail. That was a fully evolved first-stage zombie. This one had a core, but it looked severely malnourished. Never mind, awakening an ability was the top priority. Without hesitation, Su Xiao rinsed it with water and swallowed it directly with a gulp of mineral water. Less than 2 minutes after ingestion, he felt his entire body begin to heat up. A scorching energy spread from his abdomen throughout his body. His whole frame started burning up the heat, making him extremely uncomfortable. He immediately poured 2 large buckets of stored water into the bathtub and lay down inside. The internal blaze turned his face as red as a boiled shrimp. Sweat poured from every pore. He knew this was the normal reaction as the crystal core's energy scoured his body, so he simply closed his eyes and endured in silence. A full 2 hours passed. Only when his consciousness had nearly blurred from the searing heat did Su Xiao finally open his eyes. He hadn't awakened any ability, but he could feel a surge of vitality, as if he had just woken up after 3 solid days of sleep, refreshed and clear-headed. He glanced down at himself. His body looked unchanged. Raising his blade, he made a slashing motion. It was steadier and faster than before. The knife in his hand even felt lighter. It worked. My physique improved, but it's not enough. Without an ability, I have no confidence to travel far. This residential complex is 1 kilometer from the college and 20 kilometers from the hospital. Before my body can regenerate blood, I need to hold on a little longer. Su Xiao's blood manipulation ability wasn't particularly powerful in the early stages. Its true strength lay in the user's survival capability. With the blood regeneration ability, Su Xiao no longer feared injury, and his stamina would be greatly enhanced. The bonus activity depends on blood circulation and delivery. Once he mastered blood manipulation, his endurance would be roughly 3 times that of an ordinary person. He would be a marathon champion. If he couldn't win, he could outrun anyone. So after adapting to his enhanced strength and replenishing his energy with some canned food, Su Xiao prepared to clear out more zombies. Because of his activity a few hours earlier, 11 zombies had gathered in the hallway on his floor. How so many people had squeezed into one building was beyond him. After a quick observation, Su Xiao tucked the gun back into his belt. Gunshots would attract more zombies. He would have to rely on cold weapons to deal with them. He thought for a moment, then retrieved 6 steel cables from the room. They were originally intended for a crossbow to attach hooks for climbing high buildings. Su Xiao's extensive experience in the apocalypse meant he had prepared for every scenario. He wrapped the steel cables around large iron nails and hammered them into the walls on both sides of the doorway, creating 4 layers of cable barriers. This ensured the zombies would be blocked and couldn't slip through the gaps easily. That was enough. He didn't fear zombies getting in. He feared them swarming in and giving him no time to react. Confident that everything was secure, Su Xiao stood in front of the cables, stretched out his arm, and opened the half-meter-away door. Instantly a claw reached in. Then a zombie lunged forward like a starving fiend attracted by scent. But it was stopped by the steel cable net clawing at the wires and snarling at Su Xiao with outstretched arms. 4 or 5 more zombies surged in behind it, all pressing against the cables, but unable to break through. Su Xiao raised his knife, and with a series of thuds mercilessly chopped off all their heads. Round heads rolled to Su Xiao's feet, which he casually kicked aside. He no longer cared about the room's hygiene. He wouldn't be staying long anyway. Once the first few fell, the zombies behind surged forward, previously blocked by those in front. But they met the same fate as the earlier ones. Su Xiao, the head-chopping maniac, systematically decapitated each zombie. Soon over a dozen corpses piled at the doorway, all killed by Su Xiao. Looking at the blood and severed heads on the floor, smelling the unbearable stench of rotting flesh, Su Xiao frowned. He split each skull open, searching for crystal cores. His luck was decent this time. He found 2 crystal cores from the 13 zombie heads. Su Xiao didn't consume them immediately. Instead, he removed the steel cables, stepped out of the apartment, and began hunting more zombies. On the 4th floor, he spotted 2 zombies and dispatched them with ease. He searched, but found no crystals. Seeing a door slightly ajar, Su Xiao cautiously pushed it open and entered. This was also his first time searching someone else's home. In the dim light, he saw only chaos. An overturned fridge, shredded clothes, and furniture scattered everywhere. He knew this family had met a grim fate. A low guttural groan came from the bedroom as a zombie rushed out. It was female, still wearing a nursing top with a blackened dangling mass on its chest. Hunched over, it lunged at Su Xiao. Su Xiao sidestepped the claws, then quickly kicked it onto the sofa. He stepped forward and stabbed it in the abdomen, yanking the blade out sharply. Instantly, internal organs spilled out in a slimy heap reeking of decay. The zombie wasn't dead, yet it snarled and struggled to rise. Su Xiao kicked its head so hard that it twisted completely, and it collapsed to the ground, twitching before going still. Cold sweat beaded on Su Xiao's forehead. He had been careless. His perception was weak, and he had let his guard down, turning his back on the side bedroom door. He had nearly been done in. Xiao silently etched this mistake into his mind, then strode into the bedroom, stopping at the doorway. It was a standard warm, newlywed bedroom. A large bed, a happy wedding photo of a man and woman hanging above the headboard, a wardrobe and lampstand on the left, and a soft carpet on the right, with an adorable baby hammock. But now the floor was stained with blood, and scattered among the mess were several tiny torn garments. A small skeleton's leg bone was hooked over the edge of the hammock, dangling upside down. Not a shred of flesh remained. Its hollow eye sockets stared at the floor beneath Xiao's feet, as if silently weeping for the heartbreaking scene that had unfolded here. A mother had turned into a zombie and devoured her own child. Even Xiao's cold heart trembled. No matter how many times he had witnessed such scenes in his past life, he was still a human. He closed the door and silently left that home. Countless tragedies like this unfolded in the apocalypse. Once they became zombies, they were no longer human. They were nothing but ravenous fiends that consumed all living things. Xiao's eyes regained their determination. In this life, his goal was to end this apocalypse, or be devoured by it once again. 2 more days passed. It was the 3rd day after the rain stopped. Before Xiao lay 9 washed crystal cores, the fruits of his labor over the past 2 days. He had not only cleared this building, but also the one next door, killing over 90 zombies to gather these 8. Xiao thought it should be enough to awaken his ability. He swallowed 1 crystal core, then lay back down in the water-filled bathtub. This apartment was only meant to shelter him through the 3-day blood rain. The stored food and water were limited, but enough for months alone. After the apocalypse, all water was contaminated, so Xiao had to rely on purified water. But he wasn't worried. As a blood manipulator, once his ability awakened, he could extract water from blood itself. The searing heat returned. Xiao closed his eyes and accepted the transformation of his body. It was a strange world, for humans, both hell and heaven. Hell because humanity would suffer unspeakable torment in the apocalypse. Heaven because those who weathered the bitter winter like pines clinging to a cliff would each become a new kind of human. Scorching energy continuously reinforced every part of his body. Initially, Xiao was nearly overwhelmed by the heat, but as he absorbed 1 crystal after another, he gradually adapted to the unique energy's transformation of his physique. Finally, upon absorbing the 7th crystal, Xiao could no longer feel any burning pain. At the same time, a peculiar sensation spread through his mind. It was as if he had suddenly lost all perception of the outside world, yet he could hear a sound like a surging river, the blood flowing within his veins. He could even sense each crimson cell pulsing within him, and with a single thought he could control the speed of his blood, making it flow faster or slower. Though outwardly there was little visible change, his strength had increased significantly, nearly doubling from before absorbing the crystals. He knew that his blood control ability had finally awakened. Xiao carefully sensed the blood within his body and looked down at his arm. Veins bulged grotesquely, as if what flowed through them was not blood, but boiling water. He picked up a small knife and made a shallow cut on his arm. Blood immediately seeped out. Xiao remained calm, simply watching his arm. The next moment, something unbelievable happened. The blood on his arm seemed to come alive, flowing back into the small wound of its own accord. Then the wound began to darken and scab over at a visible rate. Xiao picked off the scab, revealing only a faint red mark beneath. Within 5 minutes it vanished completely, as if the wound had never existed. Only then did a satisfied expression appear in Xiao's eyes. This was one of the basic abilities of his blood control power, which he called rapid healing. By controlling his blood, he could prevent blood loss and rapidly accelerate platelet division to repair injury. At this early stage of awakening, the ability was still weak. Healing a small wound like this took 5 or 6 minutes, but it was already many times faster than the natural self-healing of an ordinary person. This ability did not seem to grant Xiao immense power immediately. It couldn't make him as formidable as those who controlled natural elements. Yet for survival as an ordinary person, this power was extremely practical. At the very least, Xiao no longer feared injury, and his physical fitness was now several times that of a normal human. As for other abilities, Xiao had already comprehended them. What he lacked was strength. Only when he advanced to the 2nd level or 3rd level ability user could he gradually wield those powers. Time to go. Xiao hesitated not a moment. Now he had a greater chance of survival than ordinary people, and with his equipment, he need not worry about dealing with common zombies. After checking his gear once more, Xiao left his home without hesitation. It was the 6th day since the apocalypse began. Xiao opened the door. The hallway outside was silent, with no zombies in sight. Holding a Longquan sword in his right hand and a riot shield in his left, he cautiously made his way to the 1st floor. 2 zombies lingered near the doorway, listless. Upon catching his scent, they lunged madly. Xiao kicked one, flying several meters away, then pursued and effortlessly beheaded both. Su Xiao realized his strength, speed, and reflexes had become remarkably powerful, akin to a veteran soldier who had served for years in a special forces unit. Leaving the residential building, Su Xiao saw the scene in the compound. Over a dozen zombies were scattered around the flower beds, roads, and bushes. Slipping past them would be difficult. Su Xiao unslung his composite steel crossbow. The zombies were sluggish, their organs severely decayed, with only their sense of smell preserved. As long as he stayed out of their olfactory range, they would not attack. Silent, cold weapons were the best approach. Su Xiao loaded a bolt aimed at one zombie's head and shot with a dull thud. The bolt pierced the zombie's skull. It convulsed and collapsed. The other zombies glanced around aimlessly but showed little reaction. Su Xiao repeated the process. Occasional whooshes rang out as zombie after zombie fell. After awakening his ability, not only had his physical strength improved, but his vision and senses had also sharpened significantly. He could now precisely headshot zombies from over 50 meters away. Soon all the zombies in sight were dead. Su Xiao skirted the spilled brains and headed for the parking lot. He needed to drive to the city center. At the entrance to the underground parking, a nauseating stench of blood and decay hit him like the foul odor of a drainage ditch filled with dead animals in summer. Su Xiao cautiously entered and saw the scene inside. Cars were scattered haphazardly, and over a dozen skeletons lay on the ground. More than 30 zombies roamed throughout the parking area. Su Xiao quickly surmised what had happened. When the outbreak began, chaos erupted in the community. Many people, panicked by the attacking zombies, tried to flee by car. As crowds rushed to the parking lot, large numbers of zombies were drawn in. Some escaped, but others were bitten to death before reaching their vehicles. Su Xiao's heart sank. Over 30 zombies in an open parking lot with no cover. He couldn't handle them. Just as he prepared to slip away, silently a scream rang out. "Big brother, don't leave, save me." A shrill female voice sounded from behind. Su Xiao turned and noticed a car, trapped among many others. A young woman had her head out of the window looking at him with a pleading expression. The woman's outcry stirred up a hornet's nest. Dozens of wandering zombies rushed toward her with gutter. Panicking, the woman quickly rolled up the window. The horde surrounded the outermost cars, clawing at them with screams. How is there still someone here? Su Xiao initially planned to ignore and leave. He had never been one to meddle. But recalling the lonely feeling of gazing at prosperous cities in his past life, he turned his gaze back to the woman. She was huddled in the back seat screaming. The nearest zombie stood at the trunk, the only spot without a car blocking it, pounding relentlessly on the glass. Sigh. Su Xiao unshouldered his crossbow and shouted from a distance, "They'll lure them away. Take my car and wait for me at the community gate." His voice echoed through the empty parking lot. Su Xiao hurled his car keys, forcefully hitting the woman's window. The zombies were now attracted to Su Xiao, charging toward him with claws outstretched. Su Xiao didn't wait to see if the woman heard. He turned and fled. The horde of over 30 zombies surged out of the underground parking lot after him. Su Xiao spotted a 2-meter-tall rockery in the distance, sprinted over, and scrambled up it. With guttural growls, the zombies surrounded the rockery, their rotting eyes fixed on Su Xiao. They clawed at the rock, frantically drawing blood from their own hands. Dead things shouldn't keep making noise. Rest in peace. Su Xiao muttered, raising his crossbow and shooting them one by one, blowing their heads apart. Just then a Jeep Wrangler roared out of the underground parking lot. The woman glanced at Su Xiao through the window, then sped out of the community, vanishing from his sight. Su Xiao's eyes turned cold. He looked down at a zombie raising its head and howling, yellow fluid spraying. A bolt pierced through its brow, shattering its skull. Military boots trod upon a ground slick with blood and putrid flesh, yet Su Xiao's mood was one of simmering irritation. He regretted handing over the car keys to that woman, as she might very well have fled. Though it wouldn't have been a great loss. He could simply find another vehicle. The sting of deception was hard to bear, especially for one renowned as the Blood Emperor for his shrewdness. As Su Xiao hesitated, he suddenly spotted the woman appearing at the main entrance, waving at him and shouting, "Over here." The heavy stone in his heart finally lifted. Su Xiao dashed over to her and hissed, "Keep your voice down. You'll attract the zombies." The woman quickly clamped her mouth shut, looking at him with an innocent expression. "Come on, we'll talk in the car." As they passed the security booth by the gate, a sudden thumping sound erupted. Inside, 2 elderly guards, now turned into zombies, ferociously clawed at the glass, but their efforts were futile. Su Xiao paid them no heed. He swept his gaze across the outside and found his expression turning complex. On the road beyond the compound, numerous vehicles were clogged in the middle, with countless overturned cars scattered about. The ground was littered with gnawed skeletal remains, but at least the area was relatively open. Su Xiao only spotted a few zombies roaming in the distance. The pedestrian path was clear and drivable. Once both were swiftly inside the car, Su Xiao finally had a chance to look over the woman. She appeared to be in her early 20s, wearing a sexy long dress with a decent figure and a cute, somewhat chubby-cheeked face. However, her hair was a mess and she reeked of excrement and urine, which utterly killed any appreciation Su Xiao might have felt. He wondered how long she had been trapped in the vehicle. "What's your name?" Su Xiao asked coolly. "Mu Jiao Jiao. Thank you for saving me, big brother. Otherwise, I really don't know how much longer I could have held on." Wah. Yu Jiao Jiao looked at Su Xiao with immense gratitude. Perhaps finally releasing her pent-up emotions, she burst into loud sobs. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lasted much longer." Su Xiao, who could never stand a woman's tears, said coldly, "Stop crying. Crying won't help. I saved you, but I have my own destination. Figure out where you want to go, and we'll part ways when we get there." Su Xiao had no intention of lugging around dead weight. Less trouble was better. Yu Jiao Jiao stared at his icy face with some trepidation and said with confusion, "I don't know. I came back very late that night. As soon as I parked in the complex, I heard chaos outside and saw many people rushing into the underground parking lot. I didn't dare go out, so I stayed in the car. I saw some terrifying people grabbing others and biting them. They were all eaten." Wah. Recalling the scene that night, Yu Jiao Jiao's eyes widened, her face full of terror as she curled up in the passenger seat. Yu Jiao Jiao, 24, worked for a marketing company. Her family was well off, and after graduation, they had bought her a car for commuting. She had returned around 11 on the night of the blood rain and encountered this disaster. She tried to escape, but was blocked by other fleeing cars, unable to move, surrounded by zombies. Thus, she had been trapped in her car for nearly 5 days. Her survival was owed to her habit of hoarding snacks in the car, but she dared not get out. She handled all her bathroom needs in a suitcase in the trunk, which explained her foul stench. Su Xiao said nothing. He started the engine and drove forward. Yu Jiao Jiao grabbed his arm and pleaded, "Please don't abandon me. They'll go wherever you go. They'll do anything. Just don't leave me. I don't want to be eaten by those disgusting things." Su Xiao frowned. He loathed dead weight, but since he had already saved her, he couldn't bear to abandon her on the street. After a moment's thought, he said, "You can come with me, but you must obey 3 rules. Otherwise, you can get out." Su Xiao's tone was frosty. Yu Jiao Jiao hesitated, wondering if he would force her into something improper. "First, do whatever I say and don't throw a tantrum. Second, without my permission, don't stray far from me. Otherwise, don't expect me to save you a second time. Third, I haven't thought of it yet." Yu Jiao Jiao asked warily, "You won't make me do those things, will you?" Su Xiao glanced at her with a faint smile and said, "Then you'd better protect yourself well." Yu Jiao Jiao pouted and said, "I agree." She then asked Su Xiao his name, but he only said his surname was Su and ignored her further. Hull. A horde of zombies emerged from nowhere and rapidly chased after Su Xiao's vehicle. There were at least 20 of them. Ahead, several zombies in tattered, rotting clothes charged toward them. A few small cars also blocked the road, leaving them trapped front and back. Big brother zombies. Run! Yu Jiao Jiao was terrified again. In the days she was trapped, she had developed an intense, bone-deep fear of zombies, haunted even in her dreams by their roars. Su Xiao, however, flashed a sinister grin. He floored the accelerator of the Wrangler. With a thunderous roar, the vehicle accelerated madly in less than 20 meters, ramming straight into the zombies ahead. Bang! Several zombies were sent flying like broken kites, leaving a streak of blood on the windshield and eliciting a scream from Yu Jiao Jiao. But what was even more unbelievable for Yu Jiao Jiao was yet to come. The car did not slow down. If anything, it went faster. As they neared the vehicles ahead, the whole car jolted violently. Yu Jiao Jiao was thrown back into her seat and saw through the windshield that the front wheels had lifted and the car was driving right over the top of those cars. After a few seconds of intense bouncing, the car landed back on the road and continued onward. Yu Jiao Jiao stared at the now flat road, utterly dumbfounded. What kind of driving skill was that? A car vaulting over obstacles. Had driving school ever taught that? Su Xiao was immensely pleased. Driving in the apocalypse was pure joy. You could drive however you pleased. In his past life, he had driven countless times, fleeing from zombies, honing his driving prowess to an exquisite level. Such a maneuver was nothing but a trifle. However, after only 6 kilometers, they could go no further. Su Xiao looked at the large truck lying across the pedestrian path ahead side and opened the door. "Get out. We'll go on foot." Yu Jiao Jiao obediently followed him out. She carried only a small shoulder bag and nothing else. In contrast, Su Xiao, fully armed with a bulky backpack stuffed to the brim and strange weapons strapped all over his body, looked far more peculiar. Su Xiao adjusted his backpack, held his Longquan blade loosely, swept his gaze around, and upon spotting no zombies, strode forward. He knew the routes of Yunhai City like the back of his hand from his previous life, especially the prominent landmark of the First People's Hospital. Yu Jiao Jiao followed him like a little shadow, nervously watching their surroundings. On foot, it was no longer like being in the car. Su Xiao had to be ready for combat at any moment. Yunhai City had a floating population of 1.7 million. Under the blood rain, at least 1/10 had mutated into zombies, just as in his previous life. The hospital was in the city center where zombies clustered most thickly. Xiao knew that the road ahead would be extremely treacherous. Even though he had awakened his ability, it only gave him a slightly better chance of survival than an ordinary person. Every move still required caution, utmost caution. Soon a horde of wandering zombies appeared ahead. Instead of recklessly approaching, Xiao loaded his bloodstained steel crossbow and took aim from a distance. Swift, swift, swift. Several piercing sounds cut through the air. 4 zombies were struck consecutively in the head by Xiao, collapsing to the ground in convulsions. Beside him, Yu Jiaojiao's eyes shimmered with admiration. Incredible. Bro, are you a special forces soldier? Your gear looks so professional. Listening to the woman's incessant chatter, Xiao grew irritable and said coldly, no. Your only task now is to shut up and follow me. Yu Jiaojiao let out a disappointed, oh, and dared not speak again. After dispatching the remaining zombies, Xiao walked over, tore a piece of cloth from a corpse, wiped the retrieved bolts, and returned them to the quiver at his waist. Yu Jiaojiao, pick up the other bolts. Xiao said while wiping his crossbow, casting a sidelong glance at the pale-faced woman staring at the rotting corpses. Huh. Yu Jiaojiao trembled. She was on the verge of vomiting. As a girl born after 2000 who had lived in peacetime, when had she ever witnessed such a bloody and terrifying scene? The only reason she hadn't thrown up was that the days of suffering in the car had mentally immunized her somewhat against, but seeing them devour people was one thing, touching them and pulling bolts out of their rotting brain-oozing skulls was entirely another. She stood frozen in terror, shaking. Xiao sneered. With such little courage, you still want to survive. Do you realize the entire city is crawling with zombies? Maybe one day you and I will both be eaten by them. If you can't pick them up, leave on your own. I don't need dead weight in my team. The cold, dominant aura Xiao now displayed was his true self. In the apocalypse, weakness was the original sin and death was a trivial matter. In this life, Xiao had tried hard to accommodate ordinary people's emotions, knowing how fragile they were at the dawn of the end. But if someone knew their weakness yet refused to change, preferring to rely on him rather than face the reality that the world had become hell, it was better for them to die early, sparing themselves the long, brutal torment of an increasingly zombie-infested, utterly collapsed world. Startled by Xiao's ruthlessness, Yu Jiaojiao finally understood her situation. In disaster, no one would appeal to feelings or morals. If she couldn't do anything for Xiao on the road ahead, this man would surely abandon her. Without Xiao, her fate was obvious. Driven by the will to survive, tears welling in her eyes, Yu Jiaojiao silently crouched down, endured the stench, reached her hand into the zombie's disgusting skull, grabbed the exposed bolt, and painstakingly pulled it out bit by bit. Black foul blood stained her hands, and the stench nearly made her faint, but her inherent stubbornness kept her going. Finally, she pulled out a bolt, collapsed on the ground, gasping and wretched. Sadly, her stomach was empty. She had finished her food last night and hadn't eaten for a day. Now only sour liquid. Xiao stood watching all this with a condescending gaze. When Yu Jiaojiao had collected all the bolts, he handed her 2 bottles of water. Yu Jiaojiao showed a grateful expression, hastily using one bottle to wash her hands, then drinking the other. At this moment, she was far more thankful to Xiao than before. Xiao said nothing and continued onward. As they walked, Yu Jiaojiao's stomach rumbled. She looked at Xiao with embarrassment. Here. Xiao casually took 2 packets of bread and a chicken leg from his backpack and handed them to her. Thanks. Yu Jiaojiao wolfed them down as she walked. She had never been fond of bread, and the coarse grain bread Xiao had bought was meant to be filling, sweet as a pastry, but far inferior in taste to ordinary bread. Yet Yu Jiaojiao ate it with relish, as if she had never tasted anything so delicious. Though still uncomfortable with the surrounding corpses, she could now eat without gagging. 2 hours later, Xiao finally spotted towering buildings in the distance. The number of zombies here was noticeably larger. Sometimes they could see packs of zombies roaming ahead. Xiao had to pull her along to take detours. Passing by an upscale residential complex, someone suddenly shouted at them. Hey buddy, don't go. Save me. A young man stood on a balcony calling to Xiao. The shout triggered a chain reaction. Roars erupted and dozens of wandering zombies inside rushed toward the building where the sound came from. The terrified residents shrank back into their rooms. Only the young man still stared at Xiao, awaiting. Xiao looked at him from afar and said coldly, I have no obligation to help you. If you're a man. With that, Xiao wielded his Longquan blade, swiftly cleaving the head off a charging zombie and kicking it away. He then quickly passed through the complex gate, leaving the man standing by the window in a daze. Though she had grown accustomed to the man's brutal methods over the past 2 hours, seeing him decapitate 4 zombies with a blank expression, one corpse falling right at her feet, still left Yu Jiaojiao stunned. The sheer shock overwhelmed her. This brother Su was simply not normal. Especially his mentality, calm and cold as a machine. Those zombies, after all, were once humans, but Xiao killed them without a single frown, using the fastest, most efficient methods, never hesitating. It felt less like fighting zombies and more like crushing bugs. Xiao didn't know what Xiao was thinking. She just faithfully followed his footsteps, occasionally retrieving bolts for him. Already a routine task. Finally, they spotted the hospital sign in the distance, but it was still 2 kilometers away. When they saw the most bustling commercial streets downtown, now packed with a dense, staggering number of rotting zombies swaying everywhere, just a single glance made both their scalps tingle. 500, 800, or 1,000. With Xiao's current strength, going in would be a suicide mission. Xiao was even more terrified, her face pale and her whole body trembling like a sieve. Stop staring. We'll go around. Since the commercial district was always crowded, the high zombie count wasn't surprising. Xiao chose to detour an extra kilometer. Although the number of zombies still far exceeded what they had encountered on the way, at least they weren't clumped in hundreds or thousands. Xiao and Xiao moved cautiously. When they encountered a few zombies, Xiao could deal with them barehanded. They made it through most of the detour uneventfully. As they passed a pet shop, Xiao's body suddenly jolted. He stared sharply into the shop. His ability was blood manipulation. Naturally, after awakening, he became extremely sensitive to creatures with blood. The range was currently about 10 meters around him. He suddenly sensed over 20 blood auras coming from the pet shop. At the same time, he felt those auras intensify rapidly, as if rushing toward them. Run! Without hesitation, Xiao's heart jolted, and he grabbed Xiao, sprinting away. Boom! 3 or 4 large black dogs slammed into the glass, barking at Xiao through the window. Their coats varied, golden retrievers, Labradors, but all were massive, banging against the security glass, their claws oversized, and some had eyes glowing with eerie red light. 3 words flashed in Xiao's mind: mutant beasts. These were animals that hadn't been infected by the virus, but had instead evolved. They were the equivalent of superpowered humans. And since Xiao could sense their blood auras, it meant they weren't infected by the zombie virus. More likely, they had all become mutant beasts. Xiao felt a surge of excitement. In his past life, mutant beasts were his favorite food. Their blood contained immense energy that helped Xiao evolve rapidly, and their meat was delicious. Ordinary people who ate it could enhance their physique and had a chance to adapt to the zombie virus awakening abilities faster. Xiao silently marked this place. He would come back when he had the chance. In the distance, the hospital gate came into view, but Xiao halted his steps. The gate was tightly shut, and at the entrance over 200 zombies had gathered. How do we get in? Xiao was troubled. Xiao, trembling with fear, said, "Brother Su, do we really have to go in now? With so many zombies?" She wore a flimsy black dress drenched in sweat from exhaustion, and her expression as she spoke to Xiao. They had already walked 4 kilometers to reach the city center, and during the journey, she had to dodge zombies, while sticking close to Xiao, terrified of being caught. She was utterly fatigued, but dared not complain in front of him. "We have to go in. Stay close to me." Xiao showed no tenderness, especially out here where there was no safe. After observing, he decided to climb over the wall. Zombies couldn't climb, but he could. As long as he didn't foolishly go through the main gate, any path was possible. Xiao moved along the hospital wall. The number of zombies there was much fewer. He walked beside the 3-meter-high iron fence with Xiao, following behind her, eyes darting around nervously. Suddenly, a zombie reached out from the green grass of a landscape tree bed and swiped at the passing Xiao. Xiao screamed and stumbled back in fright. Xiao's expression shifted, and with one slash of his blade, he dispatched the zombie. It was just a middle-aged zombie, apparently with its legs amputated, so it could only crawl, which was why it was lurking. But because of Xiao's scream, Xiao saw through the gaps in the fence that a small group of zombies had split from the crowd blocking the gate and started heading their way. Damn it! Seeing Xiao wisely shutting up, Xiao leaped, grabbed the bars with both arms, swung one leg over, then reached out his hand to her. "Move quickly." Xiao hastily grabbed Xiao's hand, using her legs to push against the wall to climb. Roar! 3 zombies, catching the scent of humans, rushed toward them at a jogging pace. Xiao wanted to scream in terror, but seeing Xiao's grim face, she choked back the sound. Xiao pulled hard, and she was lifted up, almost hugging his arm. A fair leg still dangled outside the bars. The 2 approaching zombies looked up excitedly, reaching with their claws less than 20 centimeters from Xiao's toes. Xiao quickly withdrew her leg. Xiao jumped down first, and then caught her. Remember, zombies are sensitive to sound, just like dogs. From now on, no matter what danger you encounter, staying quiet is your top priority. Xiao didn't angrily scold her for disrupting his rhythm. He simply advised calmly, "We might want to do it again." Xiao nodded repeatedly like a child who had done wrong, her face pitiful. Xiao began to survey the hospital grounds. There were some zombies inside the hospital, but not as many as at the gate. Only about 40 or so. Many of them wore white coats, nurses and doctors. and quite a few were dressed like cleaners. Brother Su, the hospital building's doors seemed to be sealed shut. Yu Jiaojiao looked around and suddenly pointed at the distant, tightly closed hospital entrance. Su Xiao's eyes flickered. That means there are still quite a few living people inside. But if we can't get rid of these zombies, we can't get in easily. After thinking it over, Su Xiao decided it was better to eliminate the zombies first before entering the hospital. Find somewhere to hide. Yu Jiaojiao obediently nodded, but couldn't help adding, "Then big brother, be careful." Su Xiao couldn't help but feel amused. He was only 21, actually younger than Yu Jiaojiao. Su Xiao's eyes darted around searching for high ground. He still dared not engage in hand-to-hand combat with these zombies. Once scratched, it would be all over. Though he wore a blast suit with iron plates inside, what if they toppled him en masse? Su Xiao wasn't about to take. He carried 6 weapons: a Longquan blade, 2 triangular spikes, a small fire axe, a composite steel crossbow, and a pistol. Su Xiao's tactic was simple: find a narrow space and engage multiple foes at close quarters. After surveying for a while, he chose an ambulance parked nearby. Having observed long enough, Su Xiao suddenly sprinted forward. Instantly, the wandering zombies were drawn to him and began surging in his direction. From afar, Yu Jiaojiao watched nervously. Heh, heh. Zombies charged at Su Xiao like mad, but his speed and stamina were now extraordinary. This was the first time he had run at full speed. Like the wind, in less than 5 seconds, Su Xiao reached the ambulance 20 meters away. He leaped onto the hood and climbed onto the roof. Dozens of zombies had just gathered under the vehicle, pounding on it. Without a word, Su Xiao raised his crossbow and began firing. At such close range, one zombie after another had its head pierced and fell. Soon Su Xiao had killed over, but then unexpectedly a small 4-limbed zombie suddenly leaped onto the vehicle and climbed toward the roof with astonishing speed, as agile as a humanoid lizard. Su Xiao exclaimed, "A speed-type zombie." The evolution of zombies, like that of humans, had branched into multiple directions. They didn't have the myriad abilities of human psychics, but they had diversified into several special species. Speed-type zombies were one of them. Their speed was 2 to 3 times that of normal zombies. At this early stage of evolution, they already matched the running speed of an ordinary human. But their weaknesses were also apparent. Relying on his sharp reflexes, Su Xiao spun around and kicked the zombie lunging at him, sending it tumbling off the roof. The zombie was quite fragile. With just that single kick, it rolled several times on the ground, one leg clearly broken. It clawed at the door, but couldn't climb back up, and Su Xiao finished it with a bolt. Yet Su Xiao felt heavy-hearted. Speed-type zombies were already appearing. Would other types be far behind? 2 minutes later, all the zombies that had rushed in were dead. Su Xiao jumped off the ambulance, began retrieving his bolts, and also checked their brains for crystals. These were vital resources for his continued growth. After pocketing the 4 crystals, he found Su Xiao waved to Yu Jiaojiao, who was still cowering in the corner. The two finally headed toward the hospital gate. Su Xiao looked at the sealed door and pounded hard on it. "Is anyone in there? Open up." Meanwhile, on the second floor of the hospital, a pockmarked, middle-aged man gnawing on a meat chunk from an iron basin suddenly lifted his head. Frowning, he growled at the 2 underlings who were fervently toiling on the bed inside the ward. "Did you hear something?" The 2 naked underlings immediately stopped their hip movements and asked in confusion, "Was there a sound?" Bang, bang, bang. The violent pounding came again. The pockmarked man immediately stood up, frowning. "Let's go check it out." Coming. The 2 underlings hurriedly got up, revealing a figure on the bed. A woman, also naked, her hands and feet bound, her face buried in the quilt, motionless. Su Xiao waited for a long time without seeing a single figure. Just as he was about to use a tool to enter the building directly, footsteps echoed from within the hospital lobby. A throng of people swarmed into the lobby. They sized each other up briefly before making their way to the entrance. Su Xiao observed them. There were 14 men in total, but they seemed vaguely divided into 2 factions. 6 men had dark, weathered skin and wore mismatched clothes. Some in workers' uniforms typical of construction sites, others in suits and ties. The other 8 men appeared more ordinary, though one stood out in an expensive suit flanked by 2 men who looked like bodyguards. 2 different groups. Su Xiao realized instantly. Trapped in the hospital, there were bound to be many survivors. Now it seemed these trapped individuals had even formed 2 distinct small factions. However, he shrewdly noticed a detail: none of them resembled medical staff. "Boss, it looks like there are no zombies outside anymore," one man whispered furtively to the pockmarked-faced man. The pockmarked man exchanged a glance with the suit-wearing man on the other side. The latter remained expressionless while the pockmarked man approached with his underlings. "Who are you? Are you rescue troops?" The pockmarked man stared at Su Xiao, who was clad in professional combat gear, and asked through the glass with a mix of surprise and suspicion. "No, I'm also a survivor. I came to the hospital to find someone. I have a friend here," Su Xiao said. "Did you take care of the zombies outside?" The pockmarked man asked incredulously. "Yes," Su Xiao admitted openly. The people inside exchanged glances, their faces betraying shock. How is that possible? There were dozens of zombies out there. The dozen people who ran out 2 days ago all ended up as zombie food. How could one man kill so many? Several of them clearly found it hard to believe, yet the fact remained that all the zombies in the courtyard had been slain, proving that the young man before them was not to be trifled with. The pockmarked man immediately exclaimed with excitement, "Open the door. With someone this formidable here, we don't have to fear the zombies anymore." 2 underlings hastily unlocked the main door. "Hello, little brother. My name is Wang Chong," the pockmarked man said with a smile. The suit-wearing man, on the other hand, eyed Xiao with gleaming interest and asked, "Friend, with such impressive skills, are you a Special Forces soldier from the National Special Forces?" "No, I'm just an ordinary person. Why have you all been staying here without fighting your way out?" Xiao inquired. The suit-wearing man gave an embarrassed, bitter smile. "To be honest, there were too many zombies outside. Several of us tried a few times, and we lost a few people. After that, no one dared to take the risk again. We've been waiting for military rescue." Xiao asked in surprise, "Did you receive any notice from the military?" "Yes, the hospital has a radio. The troops in Yunhai City are trying to organize a rescue. But the whole country, even the world, has collapsed. No one knows how many have turned into walking corpses. Who knows when they'll actually arrive?" Xiao nodded in understanding. The military faced far greater obstacles than ordinary people. When they gathered together and had to look after every survivor along the way, they inevitably had to battle zombies numbering in the hundreds or even thousands, which slowed their progress considerably. Just as he was about to enter, the pockmarked man suddenly spoke up, "Hey, little brother, we have a rule here. Once you enter the hospital, you can't carry weapons to prevent chaos and injuries. I see you carrying a lot of bags. Why not leave them with me for now?" Xiao stared at the pockmarked man with a puzzled expression, but the latter's face was deadly serious, as if he were thinking of the well-being of all survivors. Xiao smirked. "Then how come? It seems like you all are carrying weapons." As he spoke, he swiftly kicked the hand of a man standing beside him. The man yelped as a long fruit knife concealed in his sleeve clattered to the floor. The atmosphere instantly turned tense. The 3 other men immediately bared ferocious expressions. Just as they were about to make a move, the pockmarked man barked, "Calm down." His facial muscles twitched. He looked at Xiao and laid his cards on the table. "This territory belongs to the 2 of us. I have no problem with you coming in, but let's keep our distance. Find your people and leave immediately. How about that?" The 2 groups transformed from amiable acquaintances into cold, predatory wolves. Even the suit-wearing man was staring at Xiao. Clearly, Xiao, as an unpredictable element, made them deeply uneasy. Xiao dropped his smile and said coldly, "I have no interest in your petty affairs. Once I find my people, I'll leave." With that, he strode directly into the hospital. Yu Jiao nervously passed through the encirclement of the 2 groups and scurried after Xiao. Behind them, the pockmarked man glared at his retreating back with a sinister expression. "What do you think? Should we let him stay?" The pockmarked man looked at the suit-wearing man, seeking an answer. He was clearly irritated by Xiao's dismissive gaze. Yet recalling that Xiao might have single-handedly killed all the zombies in the courtyard, and that his combat skills were likely formidable, he felt a twinge of fear and wanted to join forces with the suit-wearing man. To his surprise, the suit-wearing man sneered at him with contempt and disgust. "If you're so unhappy, go kill him yourself. I'm out of here." The suit-wearing man led his group away swiftly. "Damn it. A bunch of cowards." The pockmarked man cursed under his breath before leaving with his men, his face dark as thunder. "Brother Su, those old men back there, they seemed so sinister and terrifying." Yu Jiao caught up with Xiao and spoke fearfully. Xiao merely gave a contemptuous laugh. "Just a bunch of pitiable and pathetic frogs at the bottom of a well." Yu Jiao gazed deeply at Xiao, whose expression remained as cold as ever. A sense of awe surged within her. This man, no matter the circumstances, remained as calm as a stone. The hospital corridor was steeped in death, with bloodstains and scattered medical supplies everywhere. But Xiao saw no zombie corpses, presumably cleaned up by that group. Yet the stench of rot lingered inexplicably. Soon as Xiao walked, he sensed something and occasionally cast his gaze at the doors of certain wards. Almost all the ward doors were shut tight, as if someone were inside. Xiao ignored the others for now. After a few minutes, he finally found the familiar ward. He didn't know how Tang Ying was faring, and his heart was somewhat uneasy. The ward door was locked from the inside. Xiao knocked and asked, "Is anyone there?" After a few seconds, a cold female voice responded, "There's no food left. If you force your way in, I'll take one of you down with me." Xiao was stunned to hear Tang Ying's familiar, yet resentful voice. He knew from his past life that during this period of being trapped in the hospital with her mother, she had lived under immense pressure and fear. But he never expected such a drastic change. Even from her voice, he could feel her cold indifference. If he forcibly broke in, she would indeed go to extremes. It seemed the hospital was not a safe place. Xiao paused for a moment, then said, "Tang Ying, it's me, Xiao. Do you still remember me?" Silence fell inside. Why are you here? She asked, a hint of surprise coloring her voice. This time, however, her voice was very close, and Xiao could sense she was right by the door handle. What if I told you I happened to pass by and came to rescue you? Would you believe me? Another silence ensued. The door slowly opened a crack, revealing half a face. Xiao was left speechless. Tang Ying was such a beautiful girl. Just a few days ago she had been so spirited and dashing. Yet the person staring at him now was disheveled, pale, with eyes as wary and frigid as those of a startled beast. Seeing Xiao, the dimness in Tang Ying's eyes finally flickered with a trace of light. It's you. Xiao said, do you know everything that's happening outside? Not really. Tang Ying shook her head. The streets are overrun with zombies now. It's not safe to stay here. Will you come with me? Tang Ying's eyes wavered, but she shook her head again. No, I'm not leaving. Xiao immediately sensed something. He stared at the direction behind her and said in a low voice, how is Andy? As soon as Xiao spoke, Tang Ying fixed her gaze on him, her eyes reddening. Let me go in and see. His original plan was to take Tang Ying and her mother away together. Though it would be troublesome, bringing her mother was the best way to win Tang Ying's complete loyalty. Tang Ying slowly opened the door. She didn't know why she trusted Xiao so much. Perhaps because he had been the one to lend a hand when her mother was in direst need. Xiao strode into the room. It was still clean and tidy, but Tang's mother lay slumped on one side of the hospital bed, her eyes tightly shut. Xiao's heart trembled. He stepped forward to check her breath, and found it was as faint as a gossamer thread. Tang Ying suddenly grabbed Xiao's hand tightly, looking at him with pleading eyes. Can you save her? Please. Xiao knew she was grasping at straws in desperation. If she lost her mother, he couldn't guarantee she would have the will to go on living. Xiao said in a low voice, aren't there any doctors left alive in the hospital? Yes, but they've all been locked up by others. I don't know. Tang Ying seemed to regain hope, staring intently at Xiao. They were all taken away. Taken away? Xiao frowned. At this point, the only option was to find a doctor to examine Tang's mother. He knew nothing of medicine. Wait here for me. They'll go check outside. Xiao made to leave. They'll go with you. Tang Ying, regaining a sliver of reason, said firmly. Xiao said nothing. Tang Ying closed the ward door, and only then noticed Jiao behind Xiao. The two women exchanged glances, but remained silent. Xiao began checking room by room. He knew that if there were survivors, they might be hiding in every corner of the house. Seeing through the window that a door was locked from inside, he kicked it open. Off. Two nurses cowered in a corner, trembling in terror. Don't kill us. Xiao's eyes lit up. Do you know any medicine? One nurse whispered. No, we only know basic wound dressing. Usually we assist doctors on the ward. Xiao was disappointed, but still said, that'll do. Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. I just need you to assist in treating a patient. Wait for me outside room XX now. After saying that, Xiao turned to leave. Seeing the two nurses pale-faced, he paused, then pulled out several large sausages and 2 bottles of water from his backpack and tossed them over. At the sight of food, Tang Ying's eyes sparkled slightly as she unconsciously swallowed. Xiao then handed her 2 large chicken legs and said softly, eat something first. It had just dawned on him that Tang Ying must have been hungry for a long time, and his face showed a hint of embarrassment. Tang Ying said nothing but took the food and began to eat quietly. Xiao led them to other wards, searching one by one. But all they found were refugees hiding in the rooms, not a single doctor. Just as Xiao was wondering why all the doctors had vanished, a refugee said cautiously, the workers took them all away. Workers? What kind of workers? Xiao stared at him. 3 or 4 men, one with a pockmarked face. Xiao instantly thought of the group that had greeted him earlier, and his face darkened. Why did they take the doctors? No idea. All the emergency room doctors here were captured by them. Some who turned into monsters were killed. Without further delay, Xiao grabbed the frightened middle-aged woman. Lead the way. Soon he arrived at the pockmarked man's dwelling, the director's office. 2 men stood idly at the door smoking. Seeing Xiao, they grew wary. What do you want? Where's Pockface? Xiao's tone was harsh. The pockmarked man pushed open the door and stepped out. His face hardened as he stared at Xiao, then slowly broke into an innocent smile. Little brother need any help? Xiao asked. Where have all the doctors gone? Pockface shook his head with a sigh. Alas, they're all dead. They turned into zombies, so we had no choice but to kill them. His words were filled with regret and sadness. But then the woman burst out, he's lying. He captured our attending physician, and I saw him slice off the doctor's arm with a knife. That damned bastard isn't even human. He eats human flesh? Xiao's face changed drastically at this. Pockface's expression instantly turned ferocious. Damn it, you're asking for death. He lunged at the woman, but Xiao stepped in front of her, holding a Longquan sword obliquely in his right hand. What's still planning to kill? He said coldly. Pockface dropped all pretense. Kill this pretentious brat, he roared. The 2 men beside him grabbed fire axes, leaning against the doorframe and swung them at Su Xiao. "Oh, watch out, you Jiao Jiao," and Tang Ying screamed in unison. But Su Xiao charged forward, landing a lightning-fast kick on Pokface's chest that sent him flying. Then his long blade blocked the fire axe, and in one stroke severed the henchman's left arm. "Huh!" The man let out a pig-like screech before collapsing backward. The remaining henchman was so terrified he could barely hold his fire axe. Su Xiao kicked him in the head, and he fell with a howl, the axe landing on his own body. Everyone was stunned. In less than 5 seconds, all three were down. "Boss, who's here?" A man rushed out of the director's office in panic, still fastening his belt. Then he stared dumbfounded at the fallen man. Seeing Su Xiao's cold gaze and the sharp long blade in his hand, the man immediately squatted down, clutching his head in silence. The three women shuddered at the bloody scene. Yu Jiao Jiao, used to Su Xiao's ways, held up better, but Tang Ying and the older woman were shocked by his ruthlessness. Su Xiao stepped over the severed arm of the fallen man and approached Pokface. Pokface trembled, all over, his former fierceness gone. With a cold sweat, he plastered on a pleading smile and scrambled up. "Tell me what you want me to do, just say it. Don't kill me." Su Xiao said flatly. "Any doctors still alive?" "Yes, they'll take you there." Pokface, now obedient, quickly led the way. Stepping into the director's office, Su Xiao saw the grim scene. Inside, a naked woman, tied to the bed, expressionless. Yu Jiao Jiao and Tang Ying gasped and hurried over to untie her. Su Xiao glanced briefly and lowered his eyelids. Entering the inner room, he found 3 white-coat doctors bound like bundles, huddled in a corner, their bodies covered in bloodstains. Su Xiao glared furiously at Pokface. "What's this?" Pokface said nothing, remaining silent. Su Xiao stepped forward to untie the 3 doctors. "Thank you." The 3, 2 male doctors and 1 elderly female doctor, stared at Pokface with hatred burning in their eyes. "You devil." The 2 male doctors lunged together, pinning Pokface to the ground and beating him with fists and feet in a frenzy. Su Xiao was taken aback at first, then turned to the female doctor. "What happened?" The female doctor, barely containing her rage, replied, "That bastard. He eats people." Su Xiao was shocked. If cannibalism were to occur months after the apocalypse, he wouldn't feel much, but this was just the beginning of the end. Resources were still relatively abundant, as long as they weren't at the point of desperation, there shouldn't be. Su Xiao looked at the 2 doctors, who seemed furious and were about to beat the scarred-faced man to death, and spoke up. "Could you tell me what happened with the cannibalism?" The 2 doctors, seemingly exhausted, spat angrily at the bloodied face of the scarred man, saying, "He tortured Dr. Li to death, and Dr. Wang had his thigh chopped off and eaten by him." As they spoke, both big men began to cry bitterly. It turned out that this scarred man and his gang were workers from a construction site near the hospital. His wife had cancer and was refused treatment by the hospital due to insufficient funds. The scarred man pleaded with Dr. Wang, but the doctor also stated he was powerless to help. It was the hospital's rule. Without money, free treatment was impossible. Because of this, his wife was sent home and died within 2 months. The scarred man harbored resentment, and when the blood rain broke out, he happened to be injured at the construction site. 3 of his co-workers accompanied him to bandage his wounds, only to see many doctors and patients turn into soulless zombies. They were terrified and hid away. However, 3 days passed without any rescue. Without food reserves, desperation drove them to threaten other survivors for food, and when he saw Dr. Wang, he completely erupted. He and a few others bound Dr. Wang using knives to vent their frustrations, and after Dr. Wang died, they gruesomely cut off his thigh and consumed it raw. This act instantly terrified all the other survivors, and he fully released the inner demon, deciding he would become the boss here, since he could no longer wait for rescue. Thus he established dominance by beating survivors, robbing them of their food reserves, and even dragging away a female doctor to vent his frustrations. There were over 20 survivors, with a few doctors leading the resistance, but how could they compete against those burly men with weapons who had been working at construction sites? 3 were thrown out with broken limbs to feed the zombies, while the 2 doctors were tied up and cast aside, as they believed that in case of any headaches or fevers they wouldn't be completely helpless. After all, they didn't know how long they would have to stay here. The 2 doctors had to endure the repeated humiliation of the scarred man and his gang over the past few days, while listening to the beautiful married female doctor from anger to despair. After hearing all this, Su Xiao's expression remained calm, but his heart was filled with fury. Indeed, the apocalypse was chaotic and survivors did whatever was necessary to survive. However, such petty individuals who vent their frustrations on their own kind without any survival concerns were what Su Xiao despised the most. Without a word, Su Xiao drew his knife and struck down at the bloodied scarred man. Ah! A scream erupted as the scarred man's head tilted to one side, blood gushing everywhere. Yet no one present felt sympathy, instead they were filled with pleasure. Even Tang Ying, who had been threatened by the scarred man to hand over food, felt this way. If it weren't for her having a fruit knife in her room, the scarred man would have broken in long ago. Because she had given up a large amount of food, she had to endure hunger. Otherwise, Xiao would have instructed her to buy enough food supplies for her mother long before the apocalypse. Xiao then looked at the 3 doctors and said, "There's a patient in critical condition over there who needs your attention. This is why I came to find you." The 3 doctors readily agreed. After all, Xiao was their savior. Upon returning to the ward, the 3 doctors immediately began their urgent work. After a brief examination, they said, "It's a respiratory infection." Tang Ying immediately exclaimed anxiously, "What should we do? Please, doctors, you must save my mother." "Don't worry, it's due to the lack of timely disinfection." After the apocalypse, the entire hospital was in chaos, and naturally no one was there to care for Tang's mother, leading to a bacterial invasion and deterioration. Xiao frowned and asked, "Can it be handled?" The 2 nurses he had saved earlier immediately responded, "Well, go prepare." Xiao nodded, noticing the doctors staring blankly at the food packaging on the floor. He quickly pulled out some bread, marinated meat, and water from his backpack, smiling. "Here, to have something to eat, the 3 of you." "Thank you." The 3 doctors had been starving for a long time. After expressing their gratitude, they began to drink water, then slowly started eating. The scarred man had never given them food. Since being caught on the 4th day of chaos, they hadn't had a drop of water for 2 days. Xiao suddenly walked out of the ward, his gaze fixed intently on the other end of the corridor. A dull thudding sound came from the end of the corridor. Jiao also came out nervously, asking, "What's that sound?" "I'll go check. You all get ready for surgery," Xiao replied. Tang Ying also stepped out, looking at Xiao with tear-filled eyes, saying, "Thank you, Xiao." Xiao, seeing Tang Ying's gentle expression, said, "Once your mother is safe, come with me. You won't survive in this city alone." Tang Ying nodded without hesitation. Xiao strode towards that direction. At the end of the corridor, Xiao saw that the entrance was piled high with sofas, tables, and other debris presumably done by the survivors, and a foul odor wafted from the other side. Just as Xiao was about to leave, he suddenly heard a deeper, more muffled roar. At the same time, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor, as if a giant were slowly ascending the stairs. Xiao unloaded his crossbow, his gaze cold. The claws of zombies began to emerge from the gaps. They were just ordinary zombies, but Xiao felt uneasy, sensing a threat. Roar! An earth-shattering roar reverberated in the corridor. Then Xiao saw the piled debris in the entire corridor shake violently. Boom! Another dull crashing sound rang out. A chair fell from the top. A strength-type zombie. Xiao's expression grew serious. At this stage, the only ones with such immense power were the first-tier strength-type zombies. Their strength was several times that of ordinary zombies. Ordinary people encountering them would be utterly crushed. A single punch could break bones and shatter limbs. Perhaps the commotion here was too loud. From a distance, a crowd surged over, and it was the group of suited men Xiao had seen earlier. Xiao's eyes lit up. "You're just in time. The zombies here are about to break in." A man frowned and said, "Why should we listen to you, an outsider?" Before Xiao could respond, the suited man slapped him across the face, saying, "Shut up." The man, after being slapped, wanted to retort, but upon seeing the unfriendly expressions of the 2 bodyguards beside the suited man, he sullenly lowered his head. The suited man stepped forward, apologizing to Xiao. "My friend, I apologize for that. It's all right. The zombies piling up here are about to come in. It won't affect me, but if you plan to stay here, you'll find it difficult unless this batch of zombies is dealt with." Xiao remained calm, showing no fear even in front of so many people. What kind of situations hadn't he seen? If these people truly posed a threat to him, Xiao would not hesitate to eliminate them. He had the strength to do so. "No problem, everyone grab your weapons and prepare to fight." The man in the suit wasted no words. With a command, all men gripped their steel pipes, axes, clubs, and other weapons tightly, watching the blocked corridor warily. Xiao leisurely loaded the steel crossbow. Everyone felt a sense of fear upon seeing it. The man in the suit's eyes flickered as he smiled. "Friend, you came so well prepared. No wonder you dared to come to the hospital alone. I like to stockpile weapons. Isn't this the perfect time to use them?" Xiao said with a faint smile. "Haha, Emilio. What's your name, brother?" The man extended his hand generously. "Xiao." Xiao reached out and gave it a light shake, but his eyes were fixed on him with great surprise. "The name is very familiar." He remembered. Li Yilong was quite a famous figure in the early days of the apocalypse in his past life. He was originally the boss of a building materials company, also owned some bar businesses, and was very adept at managing relations. After the apocalypse, he once developed a settlement of several hundred people in Yunhai City, a veritable warlord of the New World. But later he disappeared without a trace. Unexpectedly, he was now trapped in this hospital. "Brother Su, did you take care of the pockmarked-faced gang?" Li Yilong asked again. "Yes." Li Yilong burst into laughter. "Well done. Those people weren't acting like humans. They even wanted to split the hospital's resources with me. I just didn't want to clash with them and waste my men, otherwise with the things they've done I'd have killed them long ago." Meanwhile, he became more wary of Su Xiao. Seeing the corpses, he had thought Su Xiao had done it with others, but looking at his steel crossbow, he realized this man's strength was not to be underestimated. Suddenly, a dull thud sounded, and the two stacked sofas fell with a crash, revealing a massive horde of zombies behind them, at least 70 of them. These zombies crowded together, completely blocking the corridor. But what terrified everyone most was one particular zombie. Unlike the others, its body was not shriveled. Instead, it was towering and massive. Standing over 6 feet tall, its entire body was black, not the black of rot, but a metallic sheen, with muscles bulging like a strong man. If not for its withered head and pale eye sockets, it would almost look normal. The zombie let out a roar, and instantly, all the zombies frantically began tearing at the remaining barricade. 2 smaller zombies squeezed through the gaps and lunged at Su Xiao and the others with claws outstretched. Boom! The frontmost man shouted and smashed a zombie to the ground with an axe, then attacked ferociously. The other zombie was kicked down by one of the man's bodyguards, then beaten to death by several others with their weapons. Watch out! Su Xiao suddenly shouted. The tall zombie kicked the last barrier, and in an instant all defenses were cleared. Zombies swarmed in eagerly. Before anyone could react, the 2 men in front were immediately tackled by 5 zombies and viciously bitten. Off! Save me! The man in the suit and the others stumbled back in panic. Go! We have to split them up. With that, the suit man turned and ran. He was still rational, knowing that the few of them facing dozens of zombies charging at once would be certain death. After Su Xiao killed a zombie with a single slash, he turned and followed the suit man, shouting, "Is there any building around where we can hold them off?" "Follow me," the suit man replied. The group hurried into a ward, and after Su Xiao entered, they quickly closed the door. The door was only half-height at about 1 meters. The zombies swarmed at the door, but only their upper bodies could reach through, clawing wildly. Die! The suit man grabbed a large fire axe and swung it, instantly smashing 2 zombies' heads against the door frame. "No good, boss, there are too many. If they break through the door, we're all finished," a man said to the suit man with a mournful face. Li Yilong also looked anxious, unable to think of a good solution in the moment. Whistling sounds pierced the air. Su Xiao fired 5 bolts in quick succession, blowing the heads off 5 zombies. Everyone's gaze turned to him. Su Xiao spoke, "That big zombie is powerful. Trapped in this room would be worse. If you have the guts to fight, stay here and keep killing. With this door you can handle them. He'll lure that big one away." Li Yilong looked shocked. "Are you serious?" He was deeply awed by that big guy's strength. One punch had sent a heavy sofa flying. Su Xiao said flatly, "Or you can wait here to die." Li Yilong immediately said, "Charge with me, let brother Su go out." With that, he and 2 bodyguards swiftly chopped off the heads of 3 zombies crowded at the door and opened it. Once outside, Su Xiao headed straight for that colossal zombie. The zombies blocking his path were all cleaved down by Su Xiao's long blade. In just 5 seconds, he killed 7 zombies. Then he charged toward the big guy. Awesome. So fierce. The people around Li Yilong stared wide-eyed in shock. Even Li Yilong gave Su Xiao a deep look, then turned to the dozens of zombies surging toward them and shouted, "Fall back. Take turns chopping them down. Kill them all quickly, then we'll go rescue brother Su." That big guy, seeing Su Xiao charging against the tide of zombies, rolled its eyes and fixed on Su Xiao, letting out a low growl. Then it raised its arm and threw a punch at Su Xiao. Su Xiao dodged quickly, sidestepping to its back, and then swung his Longquan blade fiercely onto its head. With a thud, Su Xiao felt as if the blade had struck would get only cut through the scalp before being stopped by the bone. After all, his strength far exceeded that of an ordinary person, and the Longquan blade was extremely sharp. Yet it barely broke the big guy's defense. The strength-type zombie, upon being attacked, let out a roar, and its face showed an angry expression, almost human. Then it turned and lunged directly at Su Xiao. Su Xiao immediately dodged and ran farther away. At the same time, he raised his compound steel crossbow. Su Xiao cursed himself inwardly for being stupid. He had forgotten that for a first-tier strength-type zombie, the head was the hardest part of their body. Like speed-type zombies, strength-type zombies focused their evolution on the body. Their strength was greater, and their bodies would become increasingly hard over time, turning into humanoid tanks. Fortunately, this big guy's speed was much slower. Even while running, Su Xiao was able to leave it more than 10 meters behind. Su Xiao turned and fired a bolt at its left leg. Instantly, the big guy let out a cry of pain, lost its balance, and fell to the ground. Then Su Xiao fired another bolt at its head. After finishing, Su Xiao looked back. Li Yilong and his men had been exceptionally brave. Dozens of zombies lay on the ground, their heads smashed like watermelons with about a... The bolt pierced its head, and the strength-type zombies' howling ceased abruptly. It died. Su Xiao casually extracted its crystal. Compared to ordinary zombies' transparent crystals, the strength-type zombie's crystal was red. After finishing, Su Xiao looked back. Li Yilong and his men had been exceptionally brave. Dozens of zombies lay on the ground, their heads smashed like watermelons with about a dozen still pounding at the door. Su Xiao did not step forward to help, waiting until they had killed all the zombies before slowly approaching. At this moment Li Yilong was also covered in blood and filth, but his eyes still blazed with killing intent. Only when he saw that there were no more zombies outside did he exhale heavily and restore a calm expression. However, they did not emerge unscathed. Su Xiao walked over, and before he could speak he saw several people behind. Li Yilong harshly shoved 2 men to the ground before him. The 2 men trembled like sieves in terror, turning around and wailing with tears and mucus streaming down their faces. "Don't kill us, boss." "Well, obey. We beg you." Li Yilong sighed. "You've been caught, there's no saving you. Better to rest in peace early than to harm our other." With that he lunged forward and buried his axe in one man's head. Brains splattered. The other man shrieked in sheer terror. But he did not escape Li Yilong's axe either. He was killed just the same. The 7 men behind Li Yilong wore cold expressions, and though fire felt a twinge of reluctance, none dared to speak, clearly having reached a consensus long ago. Su Xiao, however, had a glint of sharpness in his eyes. This Li Yilong was decisive in killing, eloquent yet ruthless, a figure of some renown even in his past life. Then Li Yilong smiled gratefully at Su Xiao and said, "Brother Su Xiao, thank you. Your skills are truly formidable. Without you we might have been in grave danger. It's dangerous out there now. Interested in joining us?" Li Yilong's eyes sparkled. He clearly valued talent, and having seen Su Xiao's formidable combat prowess, wished to recruit him. Su Xiao shook his head in refusal. "Sorry, brotherly. I don't intend to stay long. Once my friend's mother is stable, we'll leave immediately." Li Yilong's eyes dimmed. He sighed. "Very well then. I wish you well, brother. May you survive and thrive. Thanks for the good wishes, brother." Su Xiao nodded to him and turned back to the medical room. Yu Jiao, waiting anxiously at the door of the ward, looked around fretfully. They had all heard the terrifying sounds of slaughter in the distance, but dared not approach. "It's done." With those words from the female doctor in the ward, Tang Ying finally breathed a sigh of relief. They had performed a simple disinfection surgery on Tang Ying's mother, taking no more than 10 minutes. The female doctor smiled at Tang Ying. "Your mother is fine now, just very weak. If you can manage to let her rest quietly for half a month, she'll be all right." But then the doctor's brow furrowed and her smile turned to worry. Yes, ensuring adequate nutrition and quiet rest for half a month, uttered at such a time, seemed almost impossibly difficult. Not only did the hospital have virtually no food reserves, but even just the notion of quiet rest seemed absurd with hordes of zombies outside tormenting the human spirit. How could one recuperate in peace? Tang Ying looked at her still unconscious mother and repeatedly expressed gratitude to them. "Thank you." She understood that without Su Xiao her mother would not have been saved. Su Xiao had become the most important person in her heart apart from her mother. Thus she became even more resolute wherever Su Xiao went she would follow. This stranger, nothing to her before, had saved her twice in just one short week. With her mother out of danger, her thoughts of suicide had naturally vanished. When one has someone to care for, a reason to live and hope, who would want to die? Just then Su Xiao appeared at the door. The anxious Yu Jiao immediately hurried over, asking with concern, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine. There was a group of zombies, and we cleared them out together with the hospital people." Su Xiao then walked into the room. The female doctor said, "It's done. She just needs quiet rest now." Su Xiao said solemnly, "Thank you, doctors." Afterward, he left some food as thanks, but did not mention taking them along. Although Su Xiao might need doctors later for development, he had yet to build a basic team, and with Tang Ying's mother along the way, he lacked the energy to care for others. Moreover, Li Yilong would probably not let him take all the survivors away easily. "Let me." Seeing Tang Ying struggling to carry her mother on her back, Su Xiao stepped forward and lifted Tang's mother onto his own back. With his current strength, carrying someone was not strenuous, though it would greatly diminish his combat effectiveness. "Thank you," Tang Ying said sincerely, looking at Su Xiao. Su Xiao smiled. "Let's talk when we're safe." At the main entrance, Li Yilong and his men were gathered there, as if expecting him to leave. "There are so many bodies piled up at the door. It won't be easy for you to get out, will it?" Su Xiao looked at him. "The same goes for you. How about we clear them out together?" "All right." Li Yilong agreed. Su Xiao raised his steel crossbow and began shooting at the zombies outside. Li Yilong and his men doused the zombies at the door with medical alcohol they had found in the hospital. Then they lit a lighter and tossed it. Thud! Instantly, a massive fire erupted at the entrance. The gathered zombie horde was engulfed in flames. They crowded together, one igniting another. Soon the doorway became a sea of fire. After more than 10 minutes, several hundred zombies at the entrance collapsed, more than half of them down. More zombies instinctively avoided the area, driven away by the smoke. At that moment, Li Yilong's men opened the gate. Su Xiao immediately charged out, blade in hand. These ordinary zombies posed little threat to Su Xiao. He rampaged through the horde, blade flashing, as he slew one zombie after another. Still, their claws did manage to tear at him. His clothes were shredded and ragged. But fortunately, Su Xiao was wearing a blast suit, so the zombies could not wound him. Everyone surged forward together, and soon all the zombies were wiped out. Su Xiao alone had killed more than half. Once the entrance was completely cleared, Su Xiao bid farewell to Li Yilong. Until we meet again. Until we meet again, brother Su. Li Yilong could see that Su Xiao was an ambitious man. He himself was no different, so neither mentioned recruiting the other, understanding each other tacitly. Su Xiao drove an ambulance carrying Tang Ying, Yu Jiao Jiao, and Tang's mother roaring out of the hospital. Su Xiao, where are we going? Tang Ying asked him. The western suburbs. But I still have some things to take care of, so I can't go there just yet. First, I need to find a safe place to settle you all before I can leave with peace of mind. Su Xiao said thoughtfully. Tang Ying bit her lip, but did not speak. She wanted to say she would go with Su Xiao, but realized she would only. Yu Jiao Jiao wore a similar expression. She was even more reluctant to part with Su Xiao, yet she knew that to him, she was just a stranger, and she herself didn't know where she wanted to go. Sensing the two women's hesitation, Su Xiao opened his palm, revealing two glittering crystals. One each. The women took them puzzled. What are these? Crystals from zombie brains. At these words, both women shuddered, nearly dropping the crystals. Something taken from a zombie's head. The very thought disgusted them. But Su Xiao smiled calmly. Do you know why I'm so strong? Because I am an evolver. Consuming crystals from zombies can alter one's physique and grant a chance to become an esper, an ability user, with incredible powers just like the superhumans in movies. Are you sure you don't want them? Both women were stunned. After a few seconds, Tang Ying, without a word, swallowed the crystal directly. Oh, you actually swallowed it. Yu Jiao Jiao exclaimed in shock, staring anxiously at Tang Ying. Tang Ying replied calmly. If I remain just an ordinary person, I'd have no face to follow Su Xiao. Su Xiao turned his head to look at Tang Ying. She met his gaze and gave a gentle smile. It was beautiful, yet brimming with the ambition to grow strong. Su Xiao burst into laughter. This was the Tang Ying he knew. The woman of outer beauty and inner steel who would surpass countless men and become one of the empresses of the apocalypse. Seeing Tang Ying had swallowed it, Yu Jiao Jiao hesitated for a moment, then wrinkled her small nose and swallowed the crystal core like it was medicine. Cough. Yu Jiao Jiao coughed, dryly, feeling like she wanted to vomit. Although Su Xiao had rinsed the crystal core, it still had a faint putrid odor, leaving her on the verge of tears. Su Xiao watched the two women swallow the crystal cores before finally speaking. The process of the core transforming you won't be pleasant. Just rest well from now on. At the same time, Su Xiao accelerated. Although traffic jams still plagued the road, he relied on his superb driving skills to steer the vehicle into the residential area he had passed earlier. Su Xiao immediately parked the car. Tang Ying's face was as red as an apple, her whole body burning with heat. She looked at Su Xiao as if to say something, but lacked even the strength to speak. Yu Jiao Jiao was the same, her cheeks flushed like apples as she slumped sideways in the seat. This left Su Xiao slightly dumbfounded. I was too hasty. I should have waited until they were settled before giving them the cores. Now he had to take care of 3 people alone. Su Xiao massaged his forehead in frustration. Because of the commotion from the car, many survivors in the neighborhood began opening windows to peer out. Look, it's that man again. He's not afraid of zombies. Let him come save us. Many people began shouting at Su Xiao. Hey, over here. Can you come up and clear out the zombies on this floor? We want to leave with you. Handsome, please save me. I've been trapped at home for a week. I can't take it anymore. Young man, could you spare some food for an old lady? My family has nothing left to eat. Many people shouted out in a cacophony of voices. They all hoped Su Xiao would help them. One old man even went so far as to ask Su Xiao to take him downtown, so he could withdraw hundreds of thousands from the bank and flee abroad. Su Xiao turned a deaf ear to all of them. These people still hadn't grasped the situation. They casually demanded his help, yet they had hands and feet, and cowered in their rooms without facing the zombies. So let them stay there. Zombies began sprinting toward the area. Huh, they howled with the excitement of discovering a feast. Su Xiao grabbed his Longquan blade and got out of the car. Retrieving crossbow bolts was too troublesome. Now he would use the sword for clean, swift kills. As soon as he stepped out, 3 zombies rushed at him. The onlookers' voices fell silent, punctuated by a few screams. Zombies drawn by the noise began pounding on doors nearby. So eager to die, Su Xiao stared coldly at the ordinary zombies before him, then charged forward. The icy gleam of the sword easily cleaved through the zombies' heads. All 3 fell. Su Xiao then actively engaged the dozen or so zombies ahead. This time he relied solely on his blade and physical prowess. His enhanced body moved like a gale. He plunged into the horde, his sword flashing. Zombies lost their heads or were sliced in half at the waist. Although the custom-made Longquan sword had suffered some nicks after 2 days of hacking zombies, its sharpness remained. Within moments, Su Xiao had single-handedly slaughtered all the zombies. Still, Su Xiao was not unscathed. His stamina had drained considerably. He leaned on the sword, panting. Seeing no more zombies approaching for the moment, he drove the ambulance straight into the residential complex. This was like poking a hornet's nest. Su Xiao instantly saw hundreds of zombies pouring out of various residential buildings, their sheer number making his scalp tingle. If he were cornered, he would be torn to pieces. No time to worry about that. Su Xiao picked a random residential building and drove straight toward it. He executed a sharp, elegant drift, skidding the vehicle to a halt at the building's entrance. Then he bellowed at the two women, "Get up. We need to get inside now." Tang Ying and Yu Jiao were both semi-conscious, but at Su Xiao's stern expression, they gritted their teeth, fought through their limp bodies, and stumbled out of the car. Su Xiao slung Tang's mother over his shoulder, his right hand gripping the blade, his expression anxious. "Stay close to me. Wait for me." Yu Jiao dragged her heavy body staggering behind Su Xiao. 3 zombies emerged from the stairwell, lunging wildly. Su Xiao kicked one aside and dispatched another with a single stroke. But then a giant claw came into view. Carrying Tang's mother on his back severely hampered his movement. In desperation, Su Xiao's blood boiled, his speed suddenly doubled as he ducked under the zombie's arm. He then kicked its head sideways, nearly snapping its neck. The last zombie was brutally cleaved in half at the waist with a single swing of his blade. Green rotting fluid splattered everywhere, covering Su Xiao and even the weak Tang's mother. Su Xiao had no time to care. He merely growled, "Follow me quickly." The massive horde of zombies had already reached the entrance and begun climbing the stairs. Su Xiao spotted a door on the 2nd floor and pushed hard, but it was locked from inside. "Is anyone there? Open up." Su Xiao was in a desperate hurry. With Tang's mother on his back, he could barely bring out even 60% of his strength. Yet silence answered from the other side. Someone might have been inside, but they clearly didn't want to invite trouble, fearing Su Xiao would bring zombies in. Su Xiao's face darkened. Without a word, he dashed into the stairwell, spotted an open door, and rushed in. Inside was silent. No people, no zombies. Su Xiao was about to find a bed and lay Tang's mother on the sofa when he heard Yu Jiao's scream from outside. He dropped Tang's mother on the floor and shot back out. He saw Yu Jiao and Tang Ying just now struggling up the stairs, barely managing. Yu Jiao's collar was caught by a zombie, yanking her backward. 4 more zombies followed, their withered claws reaching for her head. Yu Jiao saw Su Xiao and cried out in terror, "Brother Su, save me." But Su Xiao was too far away to intervene. Though Su Xiao was still running toward her, his once anxious gaze turned cold in that instant. Unexpectedly, Tang Ying in front hardened her eyes and delivered a fierce kick at the horde of zombies. With a bang, the zombie holding Yu Jiao's collar toppled backward, dragging several others down the stairs. With Su Xiao's tightly clenched heart suddenly relaxed. He rushed over, grabbed both women under his arms despite their startled cries, and stormed back into the apartment, slamming the steel door shut. Su Xiao set them down and let out a long breath, inwardly chiding himself for his carelessness. If he hadn't given Tang Ying and the others the crystal cores in the car, they could have easily evaded the zombies and entered the building, avoiding this perilous situation. The door thundered with relentless pounding and zombie roars. Tang Ying and Yu Jiao collapsed on the floor, their bodies scorching like red lobsters. Su Xiao had overestimated their tolerance for the crystal cores. Even the fierce Tang Ying was now dazed, sitting on the ground with her long legs outstretched, mumbling in a dreamy voice, "Hot. I'm so hot, Su Xiao." The kitten-like weak tone made his heart tremble. Looking at her enchanting expression, he felt a deep stir. It was the first time he had seen Tang Ying like this. Undeniably tempting. Meanwhile, Yu Jiao was nearly overwhelmed, staring blankly at the ceiling with wide eyes, her hands mechanically tugging at her clothes, revealing glimpses of fair skin. Su Xiao hurriedly searched for bottled water or any alternative. Unfortunately, the household had no stored water, and the tap water was definitely unusable. Seeing Yu Jiao about to tear her top apart, Su Xiao hesitated, then walked over and extended his hand. With a dull thud, Yu Jiao's eyes closed. He knocked her out. It was better for her to sleep through the agony than endure it conscious. This fever was merely a normal detoxification process during physical enhancement. Tang Ying, still slightly alert, widened her eyes at Su Xiao, a pitiful resistance flickering in her gaze. Yet her own hands hovered over her collar. "Why are you staring at me like that? You need to sleep too." He gave her a smile, then, without hesitation, knocked her out. And just like that, he had brought 3 people out, and all 3 were now unconscious. Su Xiao stood alone by the window, the thunderous knocking at the door echoing outside. He fumbled in his pocket, pulled out a pack of huazi, and lit one. As wisps of white smoke rose, Su Xiao's heart gradually regained its calm. Now that the goal of rescuing Tang Ying had been accomplished, the next step was to see if Tang Ying could successfully awaken her superpower and become his ally. That way he wouldn't have to bear the burden alone. Judging from Tang Ying's behavior, she had undoubtedly pledged her loyalty to Su Xiao, which put his mind at ease. His next target was the woman in the shopping mall. In his previous life, the military had only appeared in the city center of Yunhai around 8 days after the zombie outbreak. Today was the 6th day, meaning Su Xiao had less than 2 days left. So he couldn't afford to wait here long. He had to set out today to check if that woman was still alive. Before that, he was still worried about Tang Ying and the others, so he would wait until they woke up before leaving. Xiao pulled a handful of glittering crystal cores from his pocket. These were all collected from the zombies he had killed along the way, including 2 special crystals, a red crystal from a first-tier power-type zombie, and a blue crystal from a first-tier speed-type zombie. Though the speed-type zombie might seem pathetic, killed by Xiao as soon as it appeared. At this moment, a first-tier speed-type zombie was undoubtedly a nightmare for ordinary people. They were fast and ferocious, easily killing humans. Moreover, they excelled at ambushes and assassinations. Trapped openly on the car roof and forced into a unknown confrontation by Xiao, the only outcome was death. Xiao began devouring the crystal cores. He needed to ensure his strength always remained ahead. Though he knew that even if Tang Ying awakened her superpower, she would most likely not betray him, caution was always the wise choice. Xiao was already a first-tier evolved being, so devouring crystals no longer required the lengthy period of physical tolerance. Swallowing an ordinary crystal core only made his body feel slightly warm, sweeping away fatigue, and his muscle strength increased a little. However, the sensation faded within less than 10 minutes. Xiao swallowed the power-type zombie's crystal core, and only then did he feel the scorching heat that had coursed through his body when his superpower first awakened. He sat still, exhaling hot air heavily, receiving the continuous reinforcement of his body. Half an hour later, the effect of the first-tier crystal core faded. Xiao assessed his body and felt that both his strength and speed had increased by about 10%. It seemed he would need roughly 10 more first-tier crystal cores to break through to the second-tier superpower level. He didn't stop. Whenever the effect ended, he devoured another crystal core. Ordinary cores could only enhance his strength by about 1%, but even a small improvement was worth it. Thus 4 hours passed. During these 4 hours, Xiao's body underwent rapid strengthening. His strength and speed had increased by about 40%, bringing him very close to the peak of the first tier. At the same time, drawing on the insights from his past life, he finally comprehended 2 fundamental abilities of his blood control, superpower blood conversion, and blood devouring. These were the 2 most crucial abilities for Xiao in the early stages. Blood conversion allowed him to separate substances from blood, for instance water. After all, the human body is about 80% water. In his previous life, when water was contaminated, and Xiao faced the dire situation of having nothing to drink, it was this superpower that allowed him to extract water from corpses to survive. Even from zombies, he could wring out a few drops of water. Without this ability, Xiao would have died long ago in his previous life. The other ability, blood devouring, was a power that helped him grow stronger rapidly. He could quickly enhance himself by devouring blood. Though the effect was not as potent as high-tier crystal cores from zombies, it was equivalent to having an extra resource compared to others. Imagine 10 first-tier zombies. Others could only obtain 10 crystal cores from killing them, but Xiao could additionally extract the blood energy from these evolved zombies. Zombies have blood. The higher the tier, the more they evolve into a new type of creature, gradually possessing various powerful organs, and their blood is rich in energy. It was through this ability that Xiao caught up from behind and eventually became a sovereign-tier powerhouse. Xiao was thrilled as he thought of the mutated beasts in the pet store. They were evolved creatures equivalent to human evolved beings. Their blood would be a great tonic for him. If he had awakened this superpower back, then he would never have let them go. Darkness gradually fell. Tang Ying finally stirred awake. "How are you feeling?" Xiao appeared by her side and asked with concern. Tang Ying moved her body and said, somewhat puzzled, "I feel so comfortable, light, and relaxed." Xiao smiled. "That's good. It means the crystal core is working on you. Get up and have something to eat, then keep absorbing. Aim to awaken your superpower by tomorrow morning." Thank you, Xiao." Tang Ying looked at him with warmth in her eyes. Tang's mother finally woke up too. Having been weak before, and then traveling after the surgery, her body was even more exhausted. "Mom." Tang Ying walked over joyfully and began talking with her mother. Xiao simply gazed at the darkening sky outside, took a powerful flashlight from his backpack, turned it on, and hung it from the ceiling to restore light to the room. Yu Jiao also woke up soon. Xiao had expected her to have a headache and feel unwell, since ordinary people, who cannot tolerate the crystal's energy and fail to awaken a superpower, often experience such symptoms. However, to his surprise, she seemed perfectly fine. Shaking her head, she came over to Xiao and said pitifully, "Brother, I'm so hungry. Could you give me something to eat?" "Wait a moment." Xiao took 4 cans and 4 bottles of water from his backpack. Seeing Tang Ying approach, he said, "I don't have much food with me. We'll have to make do tonight." Tang Ying nodded and said, "I'll look around for some flour or something later. I saw a gas canister in the kitchen. Oh, we should be able to light a fire." Then she added seriously, "Xiao, my mother says thank you. If it weren't for you, both of us would have died. Your mother is awake." Xiao nodded. "Auntie hasn't recovered yet." She needs proper nutrition. Here's some more food. Make sure she eats plenty. He pulled out another pile of food, making his large backpack look somewhat deflated. Tang Ying hesitated, reluctant to take it. This is your food. If we eat it, what will you do? Xiao looked at her conflicted expression and suddenly asked, are you willing to stay with me forever, Tang Ying? Take your mother along. Tang Ying immediately affirmed, I am willing. Xiao, my life is yours. Whatever you want me to do. She paused, then met his gaze and said, I am willing. Xiao smiled. Then we're family now. Don't worry about food. I'll take care of it. Ying, just focus on absorbing all these crystal cores tonight. I want to make one thing clear, I won't keep freeloaders. Except for Annie, you all have to kill zombies. That's the path you must take. Xiao looked at the two women, his gaze lingering more on Yu Jiao, and spoke sternly. Tang Ying saw no problem with that. With so many zombies, her pride would never allow her to remain a mere decoration protected by Xiao. She too wanted to become a superpower user like him. Yu Jiao was a bit scared, but still responded, I'm fine with it too. As long as brother Su doesn't abandon me, I will work hard. I won't leech off you. Xiao couldn't help but laugh at her cowardly yet brave act. With a wave of his hand, he said, let's eat. After the meal, Xiao went to check on Tang's mother. Tang Ying had told her everything. She was a shrewd middle-aged woman. She expressed her gratitude to Xiao and stated that she was a capable homemaker. Once she recovered, she would not become a burden to him. Xiao only assured her that he needed Tang Ying as a partner and would not abandon them. At that moment, he could not make many more promises. The next day, Xiao was jolted awake by a loud crash. Like a conditioned reflex, he sprang up from the sofa, grabbed the Longquan sword beside him, and rushed into the room. What's going on? Xiao charged straight into the bedroom, Tang Ying's bedroom. This house had only 2 rooms and a living room, so Xiao had slept on the sofa last night. Tang Ying, wearing a thin blouse and slippers, stood at the door in a daze. Equally stunned was Tang's mother. She saw Xiao and said awkwardly, I just tried out my strength, didn't expect this. Xiao looked at the wooden door shattered into pieces and exclaimed joyfully, you've awakened an ability. Seems so. I feel like I have endless strength with no outlet. Have I turned into a superwoman? Tang Ying was also shocked by her own handiwork. At first glance, she appeared to be a strength-type awakener. After all such destructive power, even a professional boxer with a punch of about 150 kilograms might not achieve this effect. But Xiao remembered that Tang Ying's ability was gravity. Her power was extremely special, belonging to this supernatural category among the 4 classifications of ability users. In his past life, human abilities bloomed in diverse forms and were categorized into 4 frameworks: psychic-type ability users who evolved via mental power, physical-type ability users based on organ development, elemental-type ability users who could command natural forces like wind, fire, thunder, and lightning, and supernatural-type ability users that existed only in human imagination, including space, gravity, invisibility, telepathy, and more. Tang Ying was once known as the Gravity Goddess. At the Emperor level, she could use her gravity ability to turn a small base into a floating island. Try if there's any other change. For example, any desire to control something. Xiao couldn't directly reveal her ability, so he hinted, some ability users can manipulate various elements. You don't seem like a pure strength type. Tang Ying scratched her head and said, let me try. She remained silent for a long time, then suddenly seemed to sense something, fixing her gaze on a distant teacup. Seconds later, the teacup began trembling in place. Then it slowly floated up, rising 20 centimeters above the tea table, hovering eerily. Xiao sighed in relief. He thought to himself, so Tang Ying's ability hadn't differed from his past life. Tang's mother, watching her daughter's divine power, murmured, how strange this world has become. The cup continued rising until it floated about a meter high. Tang Ying was drenched in sweat, and the cup began to shake. Then seconds later it plummeted and shattered into pieces. Tang Ying took a deep breath, eyes sparkling. I feel like I can control its weight. I tried to make it lighter, and it really became lighter. Gravity ability. Xiao made the conclusion. He said solemnly to Tang Ying, you can study how to apply this power to yourself. For instance, if you make yourself lighter, won't you run faster? If you make your fist heavier, won't your strength become greater? You can also apply it to objects. For example, if you make this teacup very heavy and throw it, won't it cause more? With Xiao's patient guidance, Tang Ying's eyes lit up like stars. Right? Why didn't I think of that? Xiao, you're a genius. Tang Ying, excited like a little girl, immediately rushed to the table to study. Xiao rubbed his nose. This wasn't his genius. In his past life, he had seen Tang Ying develop her ability exactly this way. He was merely returning the knowledge from his past life to Tang Ying, helping her take fewer detours on the path of developing her ability. After Tang Ying adapted for a while, she indeed learned to apply the gravity power to herself. Xiao and she studied together and found that Tang Ying could currently manipulate about 3 times gravity, that is, increase or decrease an object's weight by 3 times. The object's weight was also limited, it could not exceed 100 kilograms. Beyond that, her control dropped to only 2 times gravity. Over 250 kilograms it became 1 times, and above 350 kilograms her influence was negligible. Even so, both Su Xiao and Tang Ying were very satisfied. With 3 times gravity enhancement, Tang Ying's strength was now roughly on par with Su Xiao's. As long as she had proper protection, dealing with ordinary zombies would be no problem. So Su Xiao said, "Wake up, Yu Jiao Jiao, and come with me outside to practice killing zombies." Okay. Soon as sleepy Yu Jiao Jiao was roused. She had also been absorbing crystals all night. Su Xiao asked her expectantly what ability she had grasped, but the woman shook her head and said she didn't know. However, her strength had also increased by about double the original. Su Xiao understood that she was also an ability user, though her specific ability was still unclear. He kept a cold face and ordered her to come along. Killing zombies was a test of mental courage. Without passing this hurdle, no matter how strong they were, they would only be afraid and want to flee at the sight of zombies. All that strength would be wasted. Su Xiao opened the door and immediately saw 3 zombies roaming on this floor. The rest of the zombies, perhaps having found no food all night, had wandered elsewhere. This number was just right. Su Xiao came out empty-handed without even a weapon. Tang Ying held his Longquan sword, and Yu Jiao Jiao held his steel crossbow. As soon as the 3 appeared, the zombies, like cats smelling fish, rushed towards them excitedly and swiftly. One of the zombies had maggots on its face. As it ran, drops of green stinking liquid mixed with a few white maggots fell to the ground, enough to make anyone lose their appetite. Su Xiao nodded at Tang Ying and said, "Ying, you go first." Perhaps Su Xiao didn't even realize he had unconsciously called her by the pet name from his past life. Tang Ying was momentarily startled by the intimate address, then her cheeks flushed slightly, but she stepped without any concept of combat techniques. She simply stood still, gripping the sword with both hands, nervously watching the zombies rapidly approach her. Su Xiao reminded in a low voice, "For someone without combat experience, when starting to practice fighting, keep your waist half squatted. This will help you dodge attacks or gather strength in your arms. A stable waist leads to stable legs, as stable legs lead to stable power." Many people die because they are too nervous when zombies attack. They miss their swing or lack force, allowing the zombie to seize an opening, get grabbed or bitten, and then it's only a matter of waiting for death. Ability users are not so afraid of ordinary zombies. Even if bitten, they won't turn into zombies without resistance. As long as they expel the corpse poison in time, they'll be fine. Only if the zombie's rank equals their own can the virus infect, if higher death is certain. But Su Xiao still demanded that Tang Ying be extremely careful. Being bitten would leave her weak for a long time, even if she didn't die. Yu Jiao Jiao shrank back in fear. Finally, the zombie's foul mouth was right before her eyes, and its sharp claws swung fiercely at Tang Ying's head. Tang Ying immediately activated her ability, swinging the sword with all her might at the zombie. Boom! The slash went wide, hitting the zombie's chest at an angle, but the immense force still sent the zombie tumbling backward across the ground. Beads of sweat broke out on Tang Ying's forehead. Su Xiao barked, "This isn't a game. There's still an enemy down. Finish it while you can." She hurried forward and struck the struggling zombie's head with her blade. The blow missed again, aiming for the neck. She hit the jaw instead. The zombie thrashed wildly, grabbing at the air in a frenzy. She wrenched the knife free from its bone and struck once more. This time the blade found its mark, cleaving into the neck. With a crunch of vertebrae, the zombie's head lolled, and its body convulsed before falling still. Just as Tang Ying exhaled in relief and allowed herself a flicker of triumph, Su Xiao's icy voice cut through. "2 zombie claws are almost on your skull." Startled, Tang Ying jerked her head up to see 2 more zombies less than 2 meters away. One of them lunged forward with a roar, hurtling straight at her. In a flash, Su Xiao kicked the lunging zombie aside, sending it crashing into its companion. The pair tumbled 3 meters across the ground. He turned to Tang Ying, his tone grave. "Remember this in battle, never let your guard down as long as an enemy remains. Your eyes must not fixate on a single opponent. Keep track of every threat." Wiping her brow, she nodded solemnly. "Got it." Su Xiao then glanced sidelong at Yu Jiao Jiao and said, "Hey, your turn." "Oh." Perhaps emboldened by Tang Ying's example, Yu Jiao Jiao stepped forward, raised her crossbow, squinted at a distant zombie, then squeezed her eyes shut and fired. Su Xiao's derisive laughter followed. "Are you aiming with your chest?" "Both eyes shut and not even looking at and sticking your chest out so high." "Miss Yu Jiao Jiao, are you trying to breastfeed them?" Tang Ying had been maintaining a stoic facade, but at that crude jibe her face flushed crimson despite herself. Speechless, she stared at Su Xiao. What an obscene comparison. Yu Jiao Jiao opened her eyes to find her bolt lodged in a wall, missing the target by a laughable margin. The 2 zombies were charging toward her. Too flustered to dwell on Su Xiao's mockery, she swiftly reloaded and screamed, "Get away." To Su Xiao and Tang Ying's utter astonishment, the zombies halted, then turned and shambled away. "What's going on?" "They're leaving." Tang Ying was dumbfounded. Su Xiao stood frozen. Yu Jiao was even more bewildered. So obedient. She hesitated, crossbow in hand. But Su Xiao said wait. So the three watched the zombies retreat into the distance. After about 5 or 6 meters, both zombies spun around and lunged at Yu Jiao, claws outstretched. Su Xiao immediately ordered, Jiao, make them leave. Oh, go away, she cried again. But this time the zombies showed no reaction, swiftly closing to within 2 meters. A dark realization crossed Su Xiao's face. I meant use your ability to push them away. How did you affect them just now? Terrified, Yu Jiao watched the claws mere inches away and yelled, stay away from me. Both zombies froze mid-lunge, then obediently turned and shuffled off again. Su Xiao's eyes lit up. He fixed his gaze on her. A psychic-type ability user. Huh, I'm a psychic. Realization dawned on Yu Jiao. It seems to be some kind of mind-affecting power. You need to practice and master it. Su Xiao's mood improved considerably. Psychic-type users were just as rare. The ability to influence others without physical contact would be immensely useful in certain situations. He hadn't expected the girl had casually rescued to bring him such a pleasant surprise. But Su Xiao did not forget their purpose. Raise your crossbow. Shoot them. No using your ability. Yu Jiao lifted her weapon, her confidence bolstered by the knowledge of her own strange power. Power that had even impressed Su Xiao. This time she kept her eyes wide open. Whoosh. The bolt flew true, striking one zombie square in the chest. The impact knocked it backward, and it crumpled to the ground. Good. Aim for the head. A body shot won't kill them instantly, and you'll have to finish them off. Yu Jiao loosed another bolt. This time, though, it didn't hit the head, it pierced the zombie's neck. The spine snapped, and the creature pitched forward dead. Having slain 2 zombies in a row, Yu Jiao wiped the sweat from her face. A flush of excitement colored her pale cheeks. Jiao, you're amazing. Tang Ying praised. As a fellow woman, she knew how much courage it took for Yu Jiao to accomplish this. Su Xiao gave a rare compliment. Not bad this time. Then characteristically he added, but your accuracy is terrible, sheer luck. And you can't even hit from less than 5 meters. Both of you will practice later. Su Xiao was still Su Xiao, his perpetually grim face looking as if everyone owed him 5 million. Yu Jiao grumbled inwardly, but couldn't help feeling pleased. Su Xiao couldn't stay to supervise their training all day. Ying, wear my riot gear and sweep this building for zombies. Practice killing them. You are both awakened. Ordinary zombies pose little threat as long as you keep your distance. Okay, you'll train hard. Where are you going? Tang Ying's gaze burned as she looked at Su Xiao. I have to go out. Stay here and don't wander off. They'll be back before dark. Take care of yourselves. Su Xiao spoke with solemnity. He then set aside the Longquan sword, picked up a fire axe, emptied the backpack of food and supplies, and left it behind. Shouldering the empty pack, he prepared to travel light. Making his way downstairs, Su Xiao dispatched a few zombies along the way. The ambulance was still outside. As long as no one was inside, the undead had no interest in the metal box. He started the engine and sped away from the complex, barreling through the streets toward the Qinda Plaza, less than 3 kilometers in a straight line. That girl Zhou Yu was Su Xiao's objective, but unease gnawed at him. Qinda Plaza was the true heart of Yinhai City, and on the day of the outbreak, a Saturday, it had been teeming with people. Su Xiao couldn't be certain how many zombies lurked there, nor how many had mutated. Could his current first-tier strength really handle it? After a moment's thought, he swerved onto another street. Since he had awakened blood-devouring ability, he shouldn't waste it. He would first check on that pet store. Those mutated beasts should all be first-tier. Far more appealing to Su Xiao than the desiccated zombies whose blood had long since dried. He had no interest in absorbing the meager blood energy from ordinary zombies. Even the crystal cores were more worthwhile. But the mutated beasts were different. Until yesterday, they had been formidable enemies. Now they were the finest nourishment for his growth. The pet shop was not located in a bustling commercial district, so there were relatively fewer zombies. However, along the way, over 100 zombies were frantically chasing after Su Xiao's car. But with their speed, they could only inhale the exhaust fumes left by Su Xiao. With a sharp turn and a rooftop stroll, he left the zombie horde far behind. Who the hell had ever seen an ambulance racing across the tops of a pile of cars? For Su Xiao, this was a trivial scene. Having spent over 3 years in the apocalypse in his past life, constantly fleeing and scavenging for food, he would have been dead meat long ago without such skills. Soon Su Xiao spotted the familiar pet shop. He got out of the car, expressionlessly dispatched the 8 zombies rushing toward him with a single axe blow, and then stood at the shop entrance. Yet the large dogs were not seen at the door. This door is tempered glass. Even without my weapon, it would be hard to break. Those mutated beasts couldn't be this vicious, could they? Su Xiao frowned. His greatest worry was that these mutated beasts had escaped, which would mean losing his nutritional supplements. His blood ability activated, an invisible perception spread outward from Su Xiao. At this stage, he could sense fluctuations of blood energy within a 20-meter radius. But to his relief, he detected several extremely powerful blood energy fluctuations. They belonged to the large dogs. Second floor. Xiao looked up. The doors and windows on the second floor of the pet shop were also locked, which was probably why the big dogs hadn't escaped. Xiao was confident in dealing with these large dogs. So he stepped forward and swung his axe at the tempered door. Bang! With his enhanced strength and the axe's force, he still couldn't break it in one blow. One panel of the tempered glass door shattered and bent inward, but it still didn't crack. Xiao struck again with his axe. Bang! This time half the door was cleaved open. At that moment a sense of crisis descended instantly. Four large dogs lunged out of the darkness. The foremost was a massive golden retriever. Now mutated, it no longer resembled a dog, but rather a lion. About 1 meter in height, with muscular limbs a head 2 to 3 times larger than a human's, and covered in reddish-brown fur. Yet its gaze towards Xiao was not fierce at all. Oh, instead it panted with its tongue out, barking and scratching at the gap in the door, whimpering, as if urging Xiao to help open it. Xiao's originally cold expression turned into one of astonishment. These dogs seemed incredibly intelligent. You want me to open the door for you? Xiao ventured a question. Unexpectedly, the large golden retriever nodded vigorously, panting and sticking out its tongue at Xiao. Ignoring its massive size, sharp claws and reddened eyes, it truly seemed like an obedient good dog. Xiao hesitated as he looked at these 4 large dogs. They were so human-like. If he could tame them, it would be like gaining 4 ability users. In his past life, he had heard of many ability users who kept powerful mutated beasts, especially dogs, pigs, and monkeys, creatures with high intelligence. Once tamed, they would never betray their master, making them even more reliable than human companions. But if he let them go, he would miss a quick chance to advance to the second rank. Xiao still raised his axe and smashed it hard. Soon he broke open a door. The 4 large dogs leaped out one by one, each massive in size. But the most imposing and muscular was the golden retriever leading the pack. Xiao could sense that its strength was already at the early first rank, not much weaker than himself. The dogs did not attack Xiao. The leading golden retriever circled him excitedly. Xiao paused for a moment, then asked, "Are you willing to follow me?" He fixed his gaze on the big golden retriever. Its intelligence seemed high enough to understand human speech. The golden retriever glanced back at the pet shop with a sorrowful expression, then circled around Xiao before suddenly leaping. Xiao thought it was about to attack, but instead it placed its paws on his shoulders and licked his face with its big... Well, that saved him a face wash. Xiao felt half his face wet and somewhat smelly. But he didn't mind at all. Instead, he laughed. His eyes lit up with excitement as he looked at the 4 large dogs. Besides the golden retriever, there was a Labrador and 2 huskies. The Labrador was also huge. Seeing the golden retriever clutching Xiao, it tried to find a spot to hug as well, but ended up biting Xiao's pants. Rip! Xiao's pants tore open. His face darkened. The Labrador pulled the torn piece off and chewed it in its mouth, then spat it out, as if it tasted awful, wagging its tail at Xiao. Xiao smiled at the big golden retriever and asked, "Can you command them?" The golden retriever understood. It removed its paws from Xiao's shoulders and barked twice at the other dogs. Immediately the other 3 became obedient, circling around it, and the Labrador even licked its fur. Xiao's eyes sparkled. "My name is Xiao. From now on you'll stay with me." Woof! Woof! The golden retriever agreed, sitting on the ground and wagging its tail. Its intelligence was truly extraordinary. Xiao was also delighted. Although he couldn't advance to the second rank, so quickly gaining 4 mutated beast companions was far more worthwhile than breaking through. "Your owner must be dead by now. He'll give you new names." Xiao pointed at the golden retriever. "You are Mao, you are Air Mao, and you 2 are San Mao and Sea Mao." The golden retriever had no objection. After Xiao confirmed it several times, he was sure it understood. Such intelligent pets were rare. "Wait for me here. They'll come back for you, okay?" It wasn't convenient for Xiao to bring them along, so he asked them to wait near the pet shop. Mao was very clever. It glanced back at Xiao and then led its 3 underlings away, likely starving and looking for food. Xiao didn't linger either. He continued toward Xinda Square. 20 minutes later, he approached Xinda Square, but the traffic was overwhelming. Cars clogged the roads and curbs as far as the eye could see. No matter how superb his driving skills, Xiao couldn't get through. He had to park and proceed on foot. Along the way, he dispatched the occasional few zombies, but when encountering groups of dozens, he tucked tail and detoured around. After some hassle, he finally reached the main entrance of Xinda Commercial Street. But when he saw the dark, ant-like horde of zombies roaming in the distance, a chill shot from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. What terrified even Xiao was the densely packed zombies wandering around Xinda Square. At a rough glance, over 500. And this was just the main entrance. Xiao couldn't help but feel sorrow for the people here. As the most prosperous area of Yunhai City, Xinda Square could see a weekend foot traffic of over 100,000. But when disaster struck, this place became hell. The hundreds of wandering zombies alone testified to the chaos that night. Hundreds of zombies. In such an open area, even if I were a second-rank ability user, it would be tough to handle, let alone being just first rank. Alas, I'd better find a way to circle around and see the situation first. Xiao certainly wouldn't gamble with his life. He began to silently survey the perimeter of Wanda Plaza. Apart from the main entrance, there were also many zombies on other sides, but far fewer compared to the front. After detouring over 400 meters, Xiao finally spotted a corner with the fewest zombies. Only about 70 aimlessly wandering. Compared to the 1 to 200 on other sides, this was indeed the least. But in total, the zombies he had seen during his circuit already exceeded 1,000. Xiao estimated that in his past life, without the military's heavy firepower, any survivor who came here before the emergence of third-rank ability users would have surely died. Xiao gazed at the distance to the building. On the second floor above him, a tempered glass window was open. That window was his only way in. Xiao took out a crossbow mechanism smaller than a bolt from his backpack. Atop, it was an exquisitely crafted steel grappling hook. The grappling hook's length is 8 meters. I need to get closer to the building to reach it, but before that these zombies must be cleared out. Xiao felt a headache coming on. Dozens of zombies were no easy task to deal with. He had left his only ranged weapon, the crossbow, with Xiao. So now, aside from the grappling hook, the only weapon on him was the steel axe in his hand. Xiao charged toward the zombie horde without hesitation. The horde, sensing the presence of a living human, frenziedly rushed at him. With a fierce gleam in his eyes, Xiao swung his steel axe heavily toward their heads. One zombie was instantly slain, but immediately several claws grabbed at Xiao's clothes, tearing wildly. Xiao dodged with a swift sidestep, and with lightning speed swept his axe across the necks of 3 zombies at once. The terrifying force sent 3 heads flying into the air, landing heavily on the ground. Then another dozen zombies lunged at him simultaneously. Xiao also felt daunted and hastily retreated, beginning to circle around the small patch of ground with the dozens of zombies. Whoever approached him first would be the first to die. Soon over 20 zombies lay fallen on the ground. Just then, sharp-eyed Xiao suddenly spotted 2 zombies staggering around the corner from the other side, seemingly drawn by the commotion. Anxiety surged within him. If he couldn't finish off these zombies quickly and more were attracted, he wouldn't be able to get in today. A crimson light flickered in Xiao's eyes. All zombies within a 5-meter radius immediately began convulsing. Blood extraction. Wisps of blood mist rapidly separated from within these zombies, and their bodies visibly shriveled at an alarming speed. Their speed and mobility were naturally greatly affected. Without blood to lubricate them, their joints became stiff and brittle. Where they had been jogging before, now they barely shuffled in place towards Xiao. Countless blood mists gathered in Xiao's palm, coalescing into a pigeon egg-sized clot of blood which he absorbed in an instant. The fatigue in his body was swept away completely. However, Xiao's energy had been greatly depleted. Using one's ability always consumed the primordial energy accumulated in the body, though once exhausted it took time to slowly recover. The reason Xiao rarely used this skill to affect groups of zombies was its heavy energy consumption. Apart from the physical type abilities of the mental, elemental, and superpower types, all consumed the primordial energy drawn from heaven and earth, which also conformed to the law of energy conservation. This time, Xiao's ability energy directly decreased by 1/3. Although he had absorbed this blood clot, it only enhanced his strength by about 10% with no effect on restoring his primordial energy. Otherwise, if abilities could be used infinitely, why would humans still fear zombies? With wind, fire, lightning, and thunder abilities all deployed together, bombarding for 3 days and nights, no matter how many zombie hordes, they would be annihilated. The zombies' sluggish speed posed negligible threat to Xiao. He slaughtered them like cutting melons and vegetables, and in less than a minute this small batch of zombies was brutally cleared away. Then, without even glancing at the zombies pouring around the corner, he locked his sharp gaze onto that window, and suddenly launched the grappling hook in his hand. With a click, the grappling hook landed on the window. The 4 sharp claws instantly retracted and latched onto the window frame. Xiao tugged. It was secure, then swiftly climbed upward. The lowest zombies stretched out their claws, grabbing at Xiao's boots. He kicked them away. Below, the horde gathered with over 100 more zombies surging forward, writhing and clawing under his feet. But they could do nothing to him. Xiao grabbed the windowsill first, cautiously surveyed the surroundings, and found no zombies, then leaped inside. The entire second floor was eerily silent. Xiao strode forward, amazed to discover that there were no zombies on the entire floor. Moreover, along the way, the shops in the mall had been artificially looted. This could only mean that the zombies on the second floor had been cleared by someone. Xiao walked to the entrance of the first floor, and indeed saw the door locked tight. Just then a man's roar suddenly came. "Hey, what are you doing?" Xiao turned to see a burly man holding a stun baton glaring at him menacingly as he... Instead of being alarmed, Xiao said with delight, I'm a survivor. How are things here? The man frowned at Xiao and said, a survivor. I don't care who you are. This is Brother Huss territory now. Get back upstairs and behave yourself. Xiao's brows knitted tightly. It seemed force was unavoidable. He darted forward instantly, at an unbelievable speed. The man cried out in alarm, and swung his crackling stun baton viciously at Xiao. Xiao nimbly dodged the baton, then lightning-fast grabbed the man's right hand. With a slight squeeze of his terrifying grip, the man instantly released the baton in pain, and Xiao threw him to the ground with an over-the-shoulder throw. Ouch! The man howled in pain. I ask you answer understand. Xiao said coldly. Seeing the axe reeking of flesh dangling in Xiao's hand, the man immediately became docile. What's the situation here? How many people are in the mall? The man quickly said, about 700 people. 1/3 are mall employees, the others were stuck here while shopping. There are zombies outside, nobody dares to go out. From the man's narration, Xiao learned the situation here. The apocalypse broke out in the afternoon. Many visitors remained in the mall. Quite a few people got wet in the rain, but paid no attention, even marveling at the unprecedented spectacle of blood-red rain. But within half an hour, some people turned into zombies and began biting those around them. The crowd immediately erupted into chaos. Many fled to other parts of the mall, but those bitten gradually became zombies themselves. Seeing the situation growing increasingly chaotic, Li, who the former security captain of the mall, immediately sealed the main entrance. Then he led a group to clear out the zombies, forcibly driving the infected to the first floor and sealing the entrance there. Everyone retreated to the second floor and above. Originally, though everyone was frightened, the mall at least had food and drink, so they endured and waited for rescue. But 1 day passed. 3 days passed, and rescue never came. From their elevated position, they witnessed the entire city's transformation. Countless people turned into zombies, frantically biting others on the streets. They became terrified. Many even broke into stores, looting and smashing, and no one could stop them. By the 5th day, even Li, who knew that rescue would never come, so he and others began harboring ulterior motives. Many men started preying on the pretty female visitors around them, gradually spiraling out of control. Li, who killed all those men and threw them out to feed the zombies, declaring himself the master of these people. Some resisted, but how could they stand against Li Huss' security team armed with stun batons and various weapons? Another dozen resistors were killed and thrown down. This time the crowd submitted. Li, who herded them into different areas and stationed guards, fearing they might unite and rebel. As for himself, he lived a life of debauchery. In the past 2 days, no fewer than 13 attractive women had been grabbed and violated by him. The remaining people were threatened with starvation or being thrown to the zombies. Li, who believed that with abundant supplies here, if no rescue ever came, he could become the local tyrant.